Oh shit, the interview's actually started, right? You're taping this,
I'm
right?
taping.
Is this the B-roll stuff?
This is the shit that we fucking we blackmail motherfuckers with.
Dude,
I need to raise my
Queezi got
chair
material. It's got
Right?
material.
This is what we blackmail motherfuckers with the intro. Right?
It's not-
Before the intro.
It's not too loud, right?
No, can you hear it?
Oh, it's loud. Loud,
Okay,
loud for me.
you're always the loudest.
I'm a loud motherfucker, man. Yeah, that's good.
I didn't take my pills, so if I just
Perfect.
start blurting out
We
shit,
don't want no pills.
Perfect.
it's, I thought I'd keep it really organic for you guys. Just unmedicated.
This is going to be a history lesson, Mike.
In tribute to the great Dr. Dre, who right now is clinging to a ventilator, and they're going to say that he died of COVID. You watch.
Don't say that.
Hit him with an intro.
It's the High Phrase Podcast. ALITE. I'm Alite. Got the homie Queezi in the building. And you know who it is.
Keep their heads ringing.
Hell yeah.
Ding dong.
Keep their heads. To me, when I heard "Keep Your Heads Ringing" from Dr. Dre, I knew that he had turned a corner out of NWA. I figured that was it, because that was like that was before the Chronic, right? Keep the heads ringing.
No, it was after.
That was after.
After
Was that
the
after
original
Chronic?
Chronic. It was supposed to be the jump off to Aftermath, right?
Oh, that's what it
I get
was.
plenty of your vast, so call me your astronaut. That's some bad rhymes.
Oh my God.
Song with somebody?
No, keep the heads ringing. No, somebody on the hook. Somebody was on the hook.
Keep the heads ringing. Ding, ding, dong. I had that Dre.
Bad rhymes in that song.
The problem with Dre was that he was not a good writer.
No.
Right, Dre was a beat guy who was in disco and funk and all that shit growing up. He had different types of
World-class
music, so his
Yeah.
shit was all crazy, right? But there was no words to the crazy.
No.
It was instrumental crazy.
Yeah.
And so when he went out on his own, he had to take on Eminem, right? He had to take on Snoop. He had to take these guys on to get some lyrics.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the only way he progressed in his.
But
in
he
his
can
career.
he can cultivate creative genius, like what he can put together musically.
Yeah.
He's just a genius. Even without the words, I would listen to the Chronic album, just the beats.
Oh yeah, the beats were sick, man.
Amazing.
That's the thing. Like, yeah, man. Like, for me, if anything, it was the lyrics for sure. But music's always been the part of the hip hop culture that's really drawn me in, right? So,
and I think Dre was very fortunate. You know how they say like people come along in time and they're in the right time in the right place?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Jeff Bezos,
Yep.
the evilest man on earth.
Yeah.
Right? Dr. Dre came in at the time
Break me
of Pro
off, Jeff.
Tools. He came in during when Pro Tools started. When he started making all of his classic albums.
Yeah.
So before that, guys were making sounds naturally. They would actually have a motherfucker in there with a triangle. Ding, ding. Yeah, motherfucker, you're off beat. Take that motherfucker, right? Like,
Unreal.
that's how it was.
take that guy out back.
Take that guy out back. He can't hit a triangle.
No.
Right?
Can't
And
get
then
that.
when Pro Tools started coming, the computer shit, he was on top of it. He benefited from that,
Yeah.
man. Because all his sounds and shit, that's where it all came from, right?
Yeah.
And he began to grow.
Chronic,
Dude,
2001, man.
Yeah, there's something about a Dre.
Chronic, yeah.
There's something about a Dre record, man. When you press play, sonically, there's just different.
Oh yeah.
Not
I'm
anymore.
still trying to get that ingredients or the recipe for that, whatever frequency it is, but they're keeping that one shit on lock, you know.
What do you think it is? What do you think that is? Do you think there has to be a mastermind?
I think there has to be somebody, unless if he's mastering his own lyrics, then or his own music and whatnot, right? Then that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
But usually, like my experience is like when you get to the end of your project, you hand it to somebody else, like another set of professional ears to give it this listen through and then give it the treatment that it needs to fit in with
some
everything
polish.
else, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I definitely think there needs to be a mastermind. I don't know if Dre was the overall mastermind.
What if
but
it was his wife?
No, for a lot of it, he did.
possibly
Right?
You know,
She wants half of the money,
yeah.
right?
Well, she does want half of the money, but
and
if
some of the name.
And
who wouldn't want some of that?
yeah.
I'd take some of that, man.
No doubt
Shit.
about it. Yeah, no, but
Dre touched me.
So supposedly he
Really, he did.
master a lot of his music.
That's
Yeah.
pretty
He's
good.
got that brilliant ear, man.
Yep.
He was good, man.
Yeah, and he can spot talent, man. Come on,
Yeah.
Snoop.
Oh yeah, that whole
He's a
camp,
gift to
that
hip-hop.
whole family, the
Yeah.
crew, like
Yeah.
And he made Death Row.
those were the artists that like I would say like helped form my my kind of
Who you are, the
in
essence
hip
of
hop
you.
and stuff, right?
So when you hear this,
Yeah, for
how do you
sure.
feel about the Snoop and M drama?
the verses,
the little beef that they got going on.
I was reading some like articles on that really quickly, and I was reading that You know, if there is a beef, right? It would be interesting to see, definitely, because lyrically the two artists are two totally different, right?
Totally.
On two different, like they might all collectively like overall like maybe reach the same kind of fan base, but individually, like I think they touch people a little differently when it comes to the lyrics. Definitely. But what I read was interesting is that a lot, like even though nothing might not transpire from the actual like whatever gossip that's going on right now, but one thing that is happening is that they're definitely generating some attention.
Oh, you mean two old rappers who no one will listen to their music anymore are now on Twitter having a beef?
Snoop's got some regular rotation. Snoop's never fallen out of rotation.
You know, what's he gonna do? It's kind of people are gonna spark their nostalgia, maybe their interest. They're gonna go and listen to some old.
Well, because
they're gonna go listen to some Eminem, right?
Dude, M mentioned his
it's
name.
It's all about the revenue, man.
You know, in that song Zeus, he called him out. He actually said Snoop Dogg's name, man. That's a big call out.
That is.
Snoop's not a battle rapper.
Yep.
But dude, man, Snoop's funny as fuck.
Yep.
Snoop is
shit. Snoop would clown on Eminem hard.
He would.
Yeah.
You know, I knew this about Snoop way back when he started. I didn't know, but I knew that he would last forever. He just has, and as I started seeing Snoop as I grew up, you saw that he was becoming a caricature of himself, which is the key to success, right? Especially in hip hop, more than I would say any other genre. To become a caricature of yourself is what makes you last. That's what. Look at fucking Vanilla Ice the other night. You see that?
Yeah. Punk ass bitch
at New Year's Eve.
Trump party.
Did you see him rapping? No, it was horrible. It was pure white boy rapping. He did Ice Ice Baby.
Oh my goodness! Still doing that song.
Isn't his name like Rob Van Winkle or something?
Yeah, Rob Van Winkle.
You know you can't rap if your name is Rob Van Winkle.
Dude, he's up there on
Trump. Doing like home renovation shows.
Yeah,
like that was his
thing.
shtick, right?
Yeah, that was his thing.
Into right. Yeah. So that would be interesting to see. I wouldn't want to see.
YouTube it if you're out there right now. If you're out there,
don't give this guy any money.
You might get COVID from it.
Watch the E Canada. I watch Entertainment Tonight Canada version. That's where I get all my news because at least they're Canadian.
Yeah.
You know,
you might get infected.
There's got to be a little bit of truth to it, right? So,
but
it's not all manipulated.
What do you think? Album front to back, best hip hop album all time, front to back.
That's like
I know it's tough, but I would say the Chronic.
It's tough.
I would say the Chronic is like when you really think about every single song, the fact that they put transitions,
there's lots of
the talking transitions in between.
Yeah. That was very like that you talk about that is one of the first albums that I really heard that on, and actually I do that with a lot of my albums now. Like I keep that kind
of rotations and
attention,
experience going.
Storytelling.
Right? It's experience, and that's what's missing from today's music. I feel like I listen to albums front to back and stuff now, but like that piece is missing where it was like a masterpiece that somebody was presenting, right?
Continuity,
like a piece of work, right?
So
I
Nipsey
like that you
started to do it before he.
Well, you say Chronic. I gotta say Doggy Style.
Yeah.
Doggy Style.
That whole
it's
all of those
perfect
albums,
project.
the Dog Pound album, they all have that theme, that running theme, right?
Yeah. But Doggy Style just had this, man. Every track Snoop was coming out with
so good.
Bomb.
It was bomb. It was summertime.
My favorite was Hoppin'. Stop like a rabbit.
Man.
Oh, it's such a good time.
He was so on fire.
And his voice is like a serial killer. It's just smooth.
How important is it for a rapper to be a great storyteller? Because I feel like today's rappers aren't good storytellers.
Definitely missing from today's culture. But it's not only that, but I think like the way we talk today now and the younger generations, right? Like the way that they're communicating stuff is like, I think now that works for them, and maybe they are telling stories, right? Like, should I talk to the mic? But I really can't understand, so I need a translator. So that's why I look to the younger generation to help me translate that stuff, right? So, but definitely, storytelling is the ultimate, to being a MC or a rapper.
What's the word in rap today you hear all the time that you're like, what is that? Do you hear any? Think about that as we go.
There's a few. I have a 19-year-old that listens to some of this trap. I mean, he's got a great playlist, but he's 19, so he's got some trap influences in that mix. And man, there's some real garbage.
I heard somebody said something to me the other day, and I was just like, that's a little odd. I can't remember. I was just like, I didn't know how to feel after, but I can't recall it in my head. If I do later on, I'll just blurt it out.
Do you think it's like that today's rappers don't have life experience almost kind of like they're almost like a sheltered. This is almost like a sheltered generation of rappers because they're coming from parents who were in the 90s that ended up spoiling their kids a lot, right? Or
The wrong ways.
yeah, and you think about it, when you're a kid from the 90s, born in the 90s, and you grow up, your parents not there, you don't have other people, you have your computer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So it created a different experience for people. And now these rappers are coming up, pretending they got all this and pretending they've done all that, when really we know for a fact they've done nothing.
There's a lot of pretend. Yeah, there's
Right?
a lot of pretend. No, we and that's at all like levels, right? I
sure.
think that's
All
like
levels.
internationally
Yeah.
and like locally or in your neighborhood or whatever. That this is happening at all levels of hip hop.
Yeah.
There's all this falseness to it, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like, okay, we know you're not doing that, so how can you say that you're doing
Rick Ross
this?
was a probation officer.
Oh yeah.
Stole the real Rick Ross's name, who was still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then acted like he was him.
Read up.
Crazy.
Come on
Come on
out there,
now.
man.
Not
The
crazy?
information is
The
out
real
there.
Rick Ross has come out and
Yeah.
said that he thinks Rick Ross is garbage.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you know Freeway Ricky
Yeah,
Ross.
oh yeah, for
His
sure.
stories
Saw
were
the whole story,
the
yeah.
craziest stories in the history
I
of the
can't
world.
believe he did that.
And yeah, he just
yeah.
stole his name and people supported that
Yeah,
shit.
there's so much stuff going on that like
Trash.
people overlook, and I'm just like, okay, here's one I want to talk about. Okay, here's
Yeah.
one I was thinking, and I've been talking about this one lately. I didn't actually think about bringing it up at the show, but
Bring it
here's
up!
the song. All right, so it's the
Put you on blast!
the baby song. Okay,
I hate that
and it's the
baby.
Black Lives Rockstar song. Okay,
Right,
so
right.
there's the Rockstar song, and I listened to the song. They play on the radio. Right, and I was like, listen to it. One day I actually like listened to it, and I was like, this guy's talking about fucking killing people the entire song, and it's on the fucking radio, like 94.5 in the like broad middle of the day, and I'm like, okay. And then like later on, like a few weeks later, the remix comes out, right? So this is where the story gets interesting. The remix of the song, okay? About the song about people murdering people.
Is this the
what I
song when
really think.
they dance on TikTok? Is this the one?
I don't know. It's like like
a rock star.
Yeah, there you go.
jeez.
Pistol on my side like I'm a cop.
Yeah,
right? That
yeah,
one? Okay,
pistol on
gotcha.
my head, down on my cop.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Right? Lamborghini.
Yeah.
And I need a Tortellini.
YouTube will censor this. Okay, anyways.
Okay, so anyways, back to the story. Back to the lecture at hand.
Yeah.
Perfection is perfected, so my let them understand, right?
Yes.
Talk about Dre, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Don't forget about Dre.
Keep it alive.
So back to the story. So Rockstar song, then they come out with the remix, and this is also around the time when earlier in the year when the pandemic was really rising, then the Black Lives Matter movement was really like happening in George Floyd, right?
Yeah.
Floyd, that all stuff happened, and so the remix comes out. So I'm like, okay, I want to check this out, right? The remix, right? It's like a hot song. Let's see what he's gonna do to this beat. Maybe he's really gonna say something, right? I'm like, yeah, this guy's gonna fucking say something.
Yeah,
It's gonna
yeah.
be amazing. And so it like starts off with the beginning verse, and I'm like the opening verse, right? I'm like, okay, the beat's the same. 'Cause
Yeah.
usually, like I'm used to like remixes, they change the beat,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
change it
At
all.
least.
It's all different
Yeah.
and shit, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
yeah, all right. So then the song comes on, he raps the verse, he's talking about some stuff. I'm like, okay, yeah, and then it goes right into the original song,
What?
Yeah.
and I'm just like,
That's the remix?
yeah, that's the remix. And I'm just like, dude, man, y'all's getting duped. He's
Whack.
making money off your asses, and you don't even fucking see it.
They don't
So
care.
it does. This is what I'm saying. Like things are being overlooked, like right, like blatantly right in front of our faces, and it's like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like who's allowing this shit to happen, right?
So okay, you said this is super interesting because I haven't heard the song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I
And the thing
totally
is, like, I've isolated my playlist to only play me what I like.
Yeah.
And it weeds out all the other bullshit.
Yeah.
So, okay, do you think it's a product of this social media society that we've created where every single artist on the planet can find a niche group of people and exploit that fan base and just bleed it dry? Because before this social media, if you wanted to find your favorite artist, if you weren't buying the CDs, you wouldn't know about anything that they're doing until a magazine came out or
Yep.
they showed up on Letterman, which rarely ever happened.
Yeah.
So is it a byproduct of this social media complex that we've created?
I think it's like a complex. I think it's more complex than just being like like this is somebody found something and they did that. I think there's like other players, there's other people, higher levels, record executives, CEOs, private funders, right? Like people that have interests, right?
Yeah.
Greater interest, bigger interest, right? Global interest, right? Like where they can exploit this or use it to exploit and control at the same time,
big
right?
time.
You know, so like my kind of music, why I bring this up, and where you're saying your playlist is isolated, like, and I sometimes like think like, you know, like I just listen to the same stuff all the time, right? But so I've started expanding my music library now, right?
Well, you're a producer, you have to.
You know, well, so, you know, like, yeah. And so now I'm listening to everything because I need to stay current, right?
Yeah,
like, if
definitely.
I want to be this person, like, you know, I've been hosting shows for Live Acts Canada for like the last year and a half. Things are obviously at a standstill now with, you know, obviously the pandemic and everything in place. But like, you know, if I'm going to be this person, this leader in the community and talk, like, I need to know what's going on. So when I'm
100%.
up there talking and representing the culture, like of rap and hip hop,
sure.
and you know that you know I'm gonna have some substance to what I'm saying, right? So, because like what we talked about back in the day, like, you know, conversations that we had with our homeboy Daga, you know, who's, you know, not with us anymore, who's on the wall right there behind us. In our hearts, but like was that it meant something to us, right? Where it needed to always mean something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it didn't always mean something and it wasn't always evolving or progressing, what's the point in doing it then?
Yeah.
Because you just stay the same. And then like this is what I was thinking today is that from like 2010 maybe till like now, like the culture of hip hop. Right, if we're minusing like all the poppy hip hop that's out there, like hip hop has pretty much stood still and has not progressed or evolved, and it's stuck on the same things about like, you know, all the things that are not right, right, with society, right, and if you look, there was a time where it was actually heading in a direction where it was gonna change and affect change, right? Internationally, globally, like, you know, because it
Black
was such
Star
because it was such a universal like way of communicating, right? And people were able to like all kinds of people were represented through it, right? It was something like it wasn't exclusive to one person, right? You could like, you know, if you had the skills and the ability to do it, you could do it, right? So it always had to mean something, and I feel like that's what's missing now.
Interesting.
And it hasn't evolved past a certain point, and the storytelling stopped, and you know the meaning. And all of that stuff behind it just stopped.
Crazy.
Well, we were getting to a dope place because I mean, you know, Black Star and Raucous Records are putting out all these just lyricists, bar spitters, and there was kind of like a shift in the movement of hip hop. Everyone is trying to be lyrical, trying to spit like real bars, and then it just all fell apart.
It all fell apart, and whatever it is, if it was like a secret meeting or this and that, like
that's supposed to have happened.
You know, it's supposed to have happened, and then like, you know, there's all kinds of stuff we can talk about.
Meeting for what?
Like, so. I've read a bunch of different articles and stuff, right? Because there's no video actual. I've heard there's actual like some audio recording and stuff, right? Oh, wow. But it's mostly video or mostly like articles, you know, secondhand, third-hand stories about a big meeting that happened with the record executives and corporate, you know, identities and stuff.
And the prison industrial complex as well,
right? And about how, you know, we can, you know, accumulate, you know, wealth, right? And control the population as well, right? So
push the narrative of gangster rap and make sure that the youth buys into the culture of gangster rap and creates a cycle for the prison system to have people in prison forever.
Certain culture, people that were oppressed for so long, and it was their people that were leading the campaign or the drive, right, towards like this, because like say if it was that one group of people, like, so like obviously I'm referring to like black people, right, like so like say if they get to that place where they've been fighting to for so long, they're fighting for it right now, they've been fighting for years, and it's like a bullshit fight, right, because you know, there's things happening right in front of your face that are like, what the hell, like how can this happen, right? So say, you know, they get to that and they get this equality that they've always wanted, because apparently like there's equality right now, but you know, a lot of people will
definitely
like, speak differently. But imagine that would change the world for all of us. All of us, right? And so, you know, like, you know, what do you hear in the news, in the media? Mostly you hear black and white, right? So it's like, it always kind of comes, you don't talk about
so what's missing?
You know,
what's missing? What's the ingredient? Like, like, okay, so we have our moments, we get our, you know, Martin Luther King's, our Malcolm X's, we get our shining stars that kind of push a different narrative and force people to act right and force people to think differently. And right now, there's none of that. There's no actual leadership that has influence.
No. Like,
and maybe, you know, people do things, they go to protests, they show up in these pockets, but they're not pushing the narrative forward. Like, you know,
No.
when Pac was around,
What's the next
Pac was probably the
conversation?
last guy I can
Yeah.
think of. Pac was probably
Yeah,
the last
yeah,
person
man.
I could think of that called out everybody on every
Yeah.
platform, every opportunity
Yeah.
without fail. He didn't give a fuck.
Yep.
And there's really not that.
And that's what's missing. If you want to ask like what's missing, there is that person, that outspoken person.
Nipsey was right. Nipsey was
was
going.
getting
through
there.
He was
that.
getting there.
He's getting
He was
there.
getting there.
Yeah.
Cube was
Kobe
that
died
guy.
around the same time. That's another
Yeah.
person. There's different opinions about him and who he was going to become.
Yeah.
I want to touch on this like here. So I was thinking about this interview and what we're going to talk about. And I was like, okay, here. So here. So like say a guy like 50 Cent. Okay, I grew up, listened to him. I was like, man, this guy's dope,
Yeah.
right? Like, you know, and if a guy like that or Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, whoever we're talking about, Nas, Common, like these guys said things, we're like, fuck, that's legit. 100%. Oh, yeah. You're going to go talk about it with your homeboys. That's how you're going to ride. This is how you live now, right?
Yeah.
We followed their
Gospel,
shit.
yo. Yeah.
Where are they now, man?
Yeah.
Shit's going on in the world. I don't see these guys speaking up. Like, these guys are millionaires,
Yeah.
bajillionaires. You know, they like, think about it, right?
Yeah.
So think about if 50 Cent, all these guys team up, right? And they have one cause, right? Say this, like, you know, this is all like hypothetical.
Yeah.
And you know, imagine all the people that they could bring together. Because there's way more of us than there is of them.
Oh,
When I say
so much
them,
more.
The elites, the governments, whoever it is that's
Powers that be.
oppressing us, right? Aliens, whatever you want to fucking believe. All I know is there's way more of us who share common thread or something, right? Where we're like, yeah, man, we're tired of this shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You know?
But see, the thing is, so Ice Cube tried this. Ice Cube
he
had,
tried.
you know, he tried that
With his last
the
album?
New Deal. No, he put out this thing called the New. He got a whole bunch of, you know, very intelligent lawyers and business people together, and they created this plan for Black America. And he was trying to use this as leverage in the election to make sure that whoever was elected
Yeah.
was going to follow through on these promises.
Yes. Okay, I remember
So
all this.
so he took it to Biden and Harris, and they're like, well, we'll wait till after
Yeah.
the election. He took it to Trump. Trump's like, I'll look at it right away.
Right away.
So people that have no common sense at all are looking at Cube like, oh, you sell out, and like, what the fuck?
No.
Yeah.
He's putting a plan together to improve the lives of Black people.
It's horrible.
Trump said, yes, I'll look at it, and Cube's the bad
Yeah,
guy?
I got in a Twitter war with someone over it.
It's just
Yeah,
nonsense.
it's
Well,
really
people
weird.
don't want to do their research, right? Like,
That's
the
the problem.
information's out there.
That's the problem.
But see, like, this is the thing. Like, this is how I feel like, you know, I have a song, Rogue Lieutenant. At the end of the song, I talk
Yeah,
about, like,
fire.
things like, you know, Facebook, right? Facebook is your source for what's going on in the world. Twitter is how your litter reaches the globe. And Instagram is how your life becomes fully exposed, right? So when I talk about these things, I'm saying, like, you know, like, what's the one thing that people do? And you do it, and maybe you do it, and I do it. It's like, I go on my Facebook, and I look to see what's happening in my
course.
newsfeed. That's my news. Of
course.
Yeah, a
That's
lot of
become
people-
my news, right?
Yeah.
And that's very surface. People don't want to dig deeper into
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
Because why? They want to just be like, okay, yeah, whatever, right? Because we're being like almost pre-programmed. We're being, you know, like
Fed
you know,
too much information,
exactly,
kind of.
where we just
you
want to
know?
be like, okay, you pretty much whatever. We're at a place now that whatever we see is what we believe.
Yeah, whatever you
right?
serve up
Yeah.
according to my likes and
Yeah.
according to my personality
Oh,
is
yeah.
what I'm going to
But
believe.
we gotta make it a point, like, as people, to just do better, man. Like, I deliberately go out of my way to
tough.
fucking read and look shit up and be in the know. And
tough,
you know, I talk to my kids about this stuff, and I don't want them to be sheep. I don't want them to be people that just look at a headline. Because my you know, my son and my daughter both come to me at times. Oh, look at this headline! Look at this headline! I'm like, first of all you're doing is showing me a headline.
Yeah.
Read the article
Yeah.
and then talk to me. And they'll read the article, and be like, oh yeah, okay, I'm an idiot.
gotta
But
read.
yeah, and people don't. It's just headline, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. There's so much missing. I have young children too, right?
Yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
really trying to like pay attention now. And your kids are much older. I don't know if you have any kids, but like
Well,
my
yeah.
kids are 4 and 5. None
yeah,
that I know
I have one, but I don't.
about. So
4 and 5.
But
Wow.
I think about that. We were talking about this in the car ride over here, right? It's like, you know, he's talking about his son's dating and whatnot. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know.
Yeah,
like, if I'm
not
going to
yet.
allow my kids to date, I don't even know what the world's going to be like in the next 14
No
years, right? Like
doubts.
10, 14 years when they're old enough to even, for me to think about that, right? Because there's so much going on now that's so much uncertainty, right? Like, we don't even know what tomorrow's going to be like, right?
Intense, man.
And,
Intense.
It is intense.
You know, so you've kind of past that, right? Where
Yeah.
you're like, okay, his kids are a little bit
Yeah.
at the independent age, right? You know, they're moving into like young adulthood, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're missing those people that are gonna lead our youth. Like we had people that led us and taught us right from wrong, right? Like when I was listening to music, I would always found myself listening to the artists that had the ability to paint the picture of right and wrong. You know, not some people can't, right? Like, or you have to look so deep within what they're saying to find maybe a message that makes sense to yourself, right? But I liked artists, you know, and like we're saying, like Tupac, right? Like, you know, he had that ability to paint both sides of the picture and then paint the in between, where that would like that's where we are as people. We've been given free will, right? We should be given the ability to decide what we like, what we don't like, right? What's right, what's wrong, right? But right now we're living in times where everything that's wrong is right and everything that's right is wrong right now.
Yeah, and I think a tough part is the platforms that we use aren't designed to promote the things that matter and are relevant. So overcoming the platform is a problem. Like I use all social media, and I'll put some bullshit post up on Facebook. Like I put a post up about people that wear masks, reusable masks, until they fall apart. And they got the fibers all hanging out and shit. And I mean, it's a reusable mask. You use that shit, you fucking throw it away. But people use it till it's like falling apart. And I put that post up, and there's like 30 comments and like 80 likes and shit.
Asshole.
Yeah, and then I put up content, like informative content that matters, and no one even looks.
Because you know what that is? That's those algorithms. They ain't.
The platforms aren't designed for
Facebook.
those
I'm
things.
not on there anymore.
It's such a corrupt system, right? Everything, you know, again, it's about who's in control, who's manipulating the information, right? And you know, like Donald Trump's talked about it. You know, fake media, fake news, right? There is a level of fakeness, right? You know,
absolutely.
Because if you go and you read about who owns these media outlets, like go look, right? You're gonna find out some shit that you're just like, holy smoke-a-rooney.
It's gonna get dark. It's gonna get dark.
What is this, right? There's all kinds of stuff out there.
So
it's crazy.
And I'm old enough now. We're old enough now where we're like, okay, you know, if you're watching a video or something, you're like, yeah, I know that's fake.
You know
that's
the
real,
bullshit.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, we're old enough now to decide, and it's our responsibility to share that with like the youth.
It's crazy. It's kind of feels to me like hip hop, though. This is a signal of an end of a huge generation of people. Like, I just want to take you back. I do this a lot just to get your brain thinking. I want to take you back to the days of rock and roll of the 1960s.
Way back.
Let's go even to the 50s when rock and roll basically mainstream started.
Chuck
Let's
Berry,
say the 50s.
Little Richard.
We had a great, fun time. Everybody was community at that time. People heard an album and they all listened to it together. It was a very together time in music. The 60s came around, music became a statement. Music was released to help spread messages and to help connect people and bring peace, right? The 70s came, everybody was high, right? And music became grungy and it became harder. Right? It did. It became more electric, more guitars, more drums, more layers on the music. You know what I mean? Queen came in the picture.
A lot of hippie music,
right?
Too.
Then what did rock and roll do? Rock and roll had some good years in the 80s, some classic rock, and then the 80s rock. But then, near its demise, rock and roll went into heavy metal. It went into death metal. It went into grunge music. All, might I say, depressing fucking music.
Suicidal ass shit. Yeah.
Right? And then rock and roll died. It still lingers once in a while, and people are like, "Rock's not dead." It's like, buddy,
it's on life support.
It's on life support. But look at this. Look at what happened. It took a huge generation of people to the end of something, and it introduced hip hop. Hip hop came in and kind of saved music in a weird way. But look how hip hop began. It started off very street, very community. Guys gathered on the corner, rapped together to beatboxing. Then it went on to the radio. Right? And then it went on to a message of peace and love and harmony, the same as the 60s. Then it went into gangster rap. Now it's into death shit rap.
It is, pretty much.
We are in a musical
listen to some of
cycle.
these artists like Juice WRLD, Lil Uzi Vert, who are all these guys that are dying? They're talking about death. They're talking about destruction. They're talking about drugs, right? They're not. They're like, I listened to some Juice WRLD, right? And I actually like some of his songs because they're just like, they're pretty decent. He was actually really good, man. I think he could have done something, right? Like he could have been somebody who could have, like, you know, maybe he would have turned a leaf and then, you know, used his powers Because man, when you get to that level, like you have powers, like you're a superhero.
Sure,
Man.
oh,
Like,
sure.
You could like do some
Transform
serious
society.
shit if you want, right?
Yeah.
Like don't get me started on Will Smith, man.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
where's
yeah.
Will Smith in all of this, right?
Yeah.
Like come on, these are guys that I grew up listening to.
Yeah.
These are guys who have songs online that are like dedicated to them or like
Yeah.
in homage to them, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I grew up listening to them and valued their words, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like it went through this, but somebody at some point, I read another article around the reptilians, right? So
Yeah.
that they're in control of the music
Yeah.
and they're using the frequencies to control people, right?
Damn.
But here you go. This is they looked at, and this is going to touch on what you're saying is that and take the reptilian piece out, but like it was used to control and manipulate a generation, like you're saying, to their demise.
Yeah.
Right? So this is what hip hop's doing, and watch what's going to happen now with hip hop, because hip hop's being replaced with just pop now. Like electronic
music.
pop, like a
That is
mashup
all
of everything now.
sounds and
Like, no, here you go.
frequencies.
If you want to go, like, listen to the Weeknd album. So
Yeah.
how old are you?
45.
Okay, so you would know like Duran Duran, Depeche
Of
Mode, and
course,
all this
yeah,
stuff.
all
Go
that.
listen to Weeknd's albums, man. He samples Duran
Yeah.
Duran.
I've
Like whether
noticed
he
that.
admits it or not, I don't see him being open
Biter.
about it. But there's
Biter for
all
sure.
kinds of samples, right?
Yeah.
And so like history repeats itself, man. It's just history repeating itself
all it
over
is.
and over.
But you know
and
what though,
over
like
again.
through all the, I got a little bit of hope though, man. Because
You do.
we got a few vanguards that are here for the cause, man. Like I think Dave Chappelle is big for the
Okay.
culture.
Yeah.
Chappelle's got his old summer camp deal. Brings out a whole
Oh, are
bunch
you
of
talking culture or are you talking like entertainment and music?
hip hop culture.
Oh, hip hop culture.
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause
Yeah.
that's what
yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
It's not just a music form, right?
Yeah.
Hip hop
It's
is
a
a
culture,
culture.
man.
Yeah.
That's
You can
what's
see
missing,
a hip
the
hop
culture
fan.
piece.
You can
Yeah.
see a hip hop fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way they walk, the way they talk, the way
Yeah.
you can see them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And Chappelle's huge for the culture, man. What he's
Yeah,
doing
me
in his summer camps is amazing.
Yeah,
So
but he's
there's a little
got
bit of hope.
some time left. Who's next?
Yeah, I mean, we got some wordsmiths.
He's got
Cole's still doing the same. Cole is a monster. J. Cole's a monster.
but eventually these traditional
Queasy, you're nodding your
rappers
head.
are
You're
going to
nodding
be
your head.
gone.
Yep.
You're not feeling.
They're going to be
Cole?
gone.
I'm like a traditional rapper, and I'm trying to stay like up and be up in like current and whatnot. But it's getting ever more challenging, right? Because it's like
the minds are changing.
exactly.
Right?
I'm not going to be able to touch the minds that I would have been able to touch maybe
Yeah.
like 10 or 15 years ago, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, what do I do now, right? I just keep doing what I'm doing, right? So like, I lay back in the cut, retain myself, right?
Yeah,
Think about
yeah.
the shit and I make the will, right? So,
Yes.
and then I think about how am I going to be able to, really maybe get a message out to people and stuff, right? And I think it's like right now, like with everything that's going on, sometimes I feel like it's nearly impossible, and I feel like things are hopeless. And I'm like, like I don't want my kids like listening to this stuff anymore, right?
Yeah.
I play like old school hip hop for
Yeah.
them, right? And they
Yeah.
love that shit, man. Like they'll,
Yeah.
they dig that stuff more than any like.
The
new stuff that
love
I
what you
like,
introduced
right?
to them, man. Like honestly, whenever we have parties and stuff, it's Ty's playlists.
Yeah.
And the songs he plays sometimes it just makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Like you brought up Scenario,
Yeah.
like Tribe Called Quest Scenario.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It makes me smile, man. I'm like, yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did it right. But because obviously, for people that don't know us, we go so far back.
Yeah, yeah.
To literally like being babies. We were teenagers,
Yeah,
like little kids.
Wow,
like
that's great.
19.
So yeah,
I think I
mean,
was like 19, 20.
yeah, around that hip hop
Yeah.
connection era.
Yeah.
But you started your pen game started way before that. What
yeah.
what called out to you that made you pick up the pen?
I don't. I still have like my rhymes like from like some of that first rhymes that I wrote. I'm pretty sure I have most of them.
That's crazy.
And I've kept I've like they've out of anything that like I've managed to keep. Like I've been through a lot, like ups and downs, ins and outs, moved around here, there, right? Like and things in boxes, bags, whatever, right? And I've managed to always have some things with me, and like that's one thing that I can say I've had with me that's mine, that I own, that's like my rhyme.
Do you remember how old you were when you put
Oh
the
man,
pen to paper?
probably started putting rhymes together when I was, in high school grade. I'd probably say grade 8, grade 9.
Wow.
So like that's like 13,
Way back.
14 years old, right? And I'm
Sitting in juvie, I was
yeah.
writing rhymes. Yeah,
Do
same
you
time.
remember? Was there a rapper that made you want to pick up the pen? Someone that you thought, I could do it like that, or someone that made you just want to do it because they were so dope.
You know, I'd have to say, I guess if you want to ask me that question, like going back to like how I got into all of it, I was really young when I first got into hip hop. Like I went to some of my first hip hop shows, like really young. I had a couple of older cousins, Roy and Rodney, and
shout out Roy Rodney.
You know, yeah, aka Rod Pesci. You know, and they got me into hip hop, right? They were like
OGs.
playing stuff for me that like you had to like go across to the States and get from like the store, get the singles, right?
Yeah,
On the
single
maxi cassette
tapes.
singles or
Yeah.
whatever. Import stores, like if you went down
Track
to Seymour,
Records.
yeah, Track Records, like all those places, right? But you know, you got to think like I'm like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, right? When
Yeah,
I first
wow.
met them, and I'm listening to like Too Short and Ice-T and Sir Mix-a-Lot, Kid Sensation.
Nobody knew
like,
that T-shirt. Remember that?
Jeez.
Nobody knew him.
Nobody knew, right? Like I think I still have the cassette cover for his first album. What is his first album?
Is it Get In Where You Fit In?
Yeah.
No, I think it would Get
Do
In
or
Where You
Die?
Fit In.
No.
Oh no.
Geez, I
That
think
Get In Where You Fit In is
the
one of his
he's got the
first.
tombstone on the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it says, is it that one? And
Yes,
it's
Life is
like
Too
rest
Short.
in
Life is
peace,
too short.
Todd Shaw or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so like, so I got introduced to hip hop, right? Like and that kind of music, like really young. But before that, like my parents were buying me like, you know, all the pop stuff, all that kind of record. I grew up listening to Indian music, right? Like my parents were like totally into music, so like I was lucky that way, right? Where I was allowed to listen to music. Some people weren't, right? So, you know, I had like Motley Crue records, like Depeche Mode, Duran, Michael Jackson, like all kinds of different records, and Platinum Blonde. Like these names are just popping up in my head.
Rick
right?
Astley.
Yeah, you know, like all kinds of stuff, right? 8-track. My dad had this. Like everybody had this, or like all
8-tracks.
brown families had this.
Yeah.
Like this brown chest stereo.
Yeah. And you have the middle.
Yeah.
It's got a
that
record
stuff,
player
yeah.
and the 8-track.
And the 8-track. So you know, had them joints.
My
right?
parents still have it.
And what was on those? Like the 8-tracks, like what REO Speedwagon.
Wow.
Elvis,
Wow.
Roy.
Like, yeah, dude, as we talk about it, like it's funny. I was thinking about like, fuck, I'm getting old now. How much stuff do I remember?
Yeah.
But as we were talking, it's bringing
Sparks.
things up.
Yeah. Wow.
So like this is how deep my music like knowledge
back.
goes, right?
Yeah.
So like first concerts I ever went to, like hip hop rap concerts, was Sir Mix-a-Lot and Ice-T. Those are the first
Damn.
two concerts
Oh,
I ever
crazy.
went to. Yeah,
Ice-T.
Ice-T.
Oof.
And that's when Ice-T came out with like the Iceberg album and shit.
Oh,
my
he was
God.
killing it.
Yeah. So
Wow.
like, that was back then when he was at the top of his top, right? Like he was really doing, and Sir Mix-a-Lot too. He had only had, Sir Mix-a-Lot didn't have like Baby Got Back and shit that time. He had like Iron Man and Swass and like.
Well, people think
Nature
Baby's Got Back the only song he ever made.
or Beepers, whatever.
Yeah.
Beepers, right? Yeah, Beeper, like that song, right? Like he had all those tracks, right? And same thing with like Kid Sensation and all these guys, right? So I grew up listening to like this kind of underground rap, pretty much underground, right?
Hard hip hop, yeah.
And then not only that, but also being kind of introduced to like a lifestyle that comes along with that music at the same time too, right? So
What,
pretty
the criminal
young,
lifestyle?
I get
Getting
to
some
see
gangsta,
this, right?
some gangsta shit.
You know,
Yeah.
The
well, I've
gangster
already,
shit?
Like, named names, so I don't
Yeah.
want to, like, you know,
Yeah.
people out of the game now. So hopefully, you know, your place don't get shot up and shit.
Oh, fuck. They got to find me
some
first.
East Van gangsta shit.
But you know, being around
Just a sec.
the lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, from a young age. So like I got to see and be taught.
Yeah.
That was the most important thing. I had these two older brothers teaching me about life, and you know what's interesting about it is because I have a dad. My dad's still around. I had a dad, but these guys taught me a different type of being, how to be a man, right? You know, so my music, like love for music, is like goes really deep. So getting back to the story, so this is how I get introduced into hip hop,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm like, you know, really young, and I'm hanging out with my cousins, and you know, they're obviously older than me, like the younger one's 3 years older than me. So when I'm like say 7, like 8, 9, 10, like he's 13 years old, 14 years old, right? And you know, they're doing the thing, and we're all hanging out, and we're like listening to music, and then something will come on, and my cousin starts freestyling, and I'm just like, oh, what's this guy doing? Like,
Damn.
That was impressive back when we were,
right?
Yeah.
Freestyling was fucking really impressive back when we were kids.
Wow.
Not many people could do that. Remember?
Special.
Beatboxing, everybody could beatbox.
If you listened.
Everybody
right?
tried to.
Yeah.
Everybody tried to, right? But no one could rap.
So
Yeah.
So this is how I get into it, right? And then, but this little do I know at that time how much it's gonna impact my life, affect my life, and inform, like, you know, some of who I am, right? So, you know, and then so I go through high school, listen to all this music, and music was always a thing that connected me. Like I felt like connected me to people, right? Like I would do like hip hop talent shows in like, or just talent shows in elementary school, and my friends, we were listening to like things like BBD and like ABC. You know, we were listening to these groups back then, like Johnny Gill, New Edition, all these guys, Bobby Brown, listening to these guys'
Flashes.
music, right? Like Escape, you know, like all of this music, right? And this is when the culture was really starting to like get some traction,
blow up,
right? You know, and so we're like, oh wow, and then I meet a bunch of guys in high school, and so I get into the culture of hip hop through dancing. That's how I get in. I'm an MC.
B-boy
but I get
shit.
in through dancing. That's how I get into the culture, is through dancing.
New Edition and shit. You listen, that's too much New Edition.
So I get introduced to the culture, and then, you know, as I'm trying to find my place in the culture through the years, writing always seems to fit. So, you know, what happened for me is like I just always felt the need to get something out. Like, and it was never me. I still don't feel like it's me. Like when I'm writing, when I'm doing these rhymes, when I'm coming up with ideas and stuff, like it's not like I'm not a kind of guy that you can just sit me down now and say, hey, okay, write a rhyme for me, right? I mean, if I'm in the mood, I could, but like for me, it's something that just happens.
So you feel like you're kind of catching it. You catching the vibe.
Yeah, I you know, so you know, I thought 2021 is like a year, like they could say it's the year of like, you know, like 2020 is supposed to be like clear vision. And so 2020 was clear vision. I said, for 2021, what am I going to do? And I said, you know, I'm going to be a little bit more fearless when I'm talking about it, right? And for me, because the music is more like, because it means so much, and I've tried to understand this over the years, so I feel like honestly, like I'm like a messenger.
Yeah.
And the music that I make and the things that I say, it's only going to touch certain people, right? And reach certain people. But I also think like the people aren't ready for artists like myself, like or you, and that's why, you know, we got a long ways to go, or the culture's just gonna die off, right?
Okay, so I want to rewind a little bit because I got a funny story. So back, we kind of went to high schools that were semi-adjacent to each other in East Van.
So
I went to John Oliver, he went to Clarny,
and
my first cousin, who I was extremely close to, went to school with him. So I'd go visit him at Clarny. We kind of see each other every now and then. Just we kind of knew of each other. And then I was working at Hip Hop Connection in Metrotown, and he was working at Superstore on the corner.
That's a t-shirt store, right?
Yeah, t-shirts, hats, all that stuff. And he was working at Superstore on the corner. So in there.
Oh, in here.
Yeah. So we were doing the hats, the shirts, and playing hip hop music, and he would come by on his breaks. And we didn't really know each other at this time, right? We just kind of knew each other. And so he walks up and he listens to beats. He's like, oh, you like hip hop and stuff? Just start talking shit. And he would grab, like, we would have like these hat stands that had like a little foam piece for the head. And he would grab that shit and he would just start rapping. And up until this point, I didn't know any Fijian dudes that rapped. I didn't know any of them. And he would just go off and I'd be like, what the fuck?
That was just freestyle shits too, and I wasn't even.
Yeah, so he would just go off in these freestyle. And I was just like dumbfounded. I'm like, how the fuck?
That's hilarious.
So he would come all the time, and then he would tell me to try it. He'd be like, yo, man, you like music, you listen to music, you fucking try it. And I'm like, hell no, you're crazy. Never even crossed my mind to even attempt to freestyle. At this point, I was writing like nursery rhymes.
Yeah.
Like literally, Dr. Seuss, every 4 bar has to rhyme nursery rhymes, right?
You could probably sell some of those right now.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
And the thing is, I've kept everything too, and I go back and I look at it, and I cringe so hard.
Though.
So he would like encourage me, like, yo, you know, you should freestyle, do stuff. I don't know what the reasoning was at this time for him to be doing this, but he just kept at it, and then
the spark.
I was relentless.
Yeah, he really was. It was like almost every day, like on his breaks, he would come through. We listen to music, we talk shit.
I was full time there. So
We
I
had
was
like
there all the time. Yeah.
mad mutual influences, right?
Yeah.
Because he liked the same kind of music I like. We knew kind of the same people, and he'd always push this, and nothing happened because I was just nowhere close to that. I did talent shows, I sang, I did some little things, but I was nowhere close to the thinking that I could be a bar spitter, like an MC, right? So destiny has weird things planned for us, I think, in our lives. And as random as I met him, as random as it was when I met Queez, meeting Daiga was just as random. So this guy comes up to we had a kiosk in the middle of the mall. He comes up to the kiosk one day, just randomly comes up to me and says, "Hey man, I sing." And I'm like, "Okay."
Daiga?
Yeah, Daiga.
Yeah.
Never met this guy in my life. Never talked to him in my life. And he just randomly comes up to the kiosk, and he's super East Coast swag, like mad East Coast. And he's like, "Yo man, I sing. You want to hear me sing?" And I'm like, "Okay, go ahead." And he starts. He breaks into Stevie Wonder, "My Sherry Amore." And I'm like, "Yo, yeah," but not just that. Like he'd be like, "La la la la," like the whole thing. And I'm a huge R&B fan. I'm watching this guy. I'm like, "What the fuck? What's going on right now? Like, is this like a hidden camera thing? Because who does this?" So he does this thing, and I'm like, "Yo, you're fucking amazing." So we started talking. We hit it off, and we started talking about hip hop and music and stuff. And he's like, "Yo, I rap and stuff." And the only two people I knew that rapped were Queezi and Daiga at the time. But at this time, they hadn't met yet. So we set up a smoke sesh randomly one day. Let's go have a smoke sesh. And all this time, this is probably from the time me and Queezi started to hang out to the time that Daiga came in the picture. I'd probably say it's like maybe 6 months-ish. And this whole time, I've been relentlessly practicing freestyle in the background, but not doing it in front of anybody. Because I wanted to break him off one day and reciprocate the flows.
This guy.
For real. So
this guy.
For like 6 months, I practiced freestyling. Just practice. What would I say? What would I think of?
This is the first time.
No, this is the first.
Stuff, bro.
And I'm like, what am I gonna say? I gotta make it pop. So we randomly set up a meeting at a basketball court. It was like me, Daiga, Queezi, some high school peeps were there. Rosie was obviously there for everything, and everyone gets put on the spot. Everybody gets put on the spot, and I'm nervous as fuck the whole time. And everyone's going around in the circle.
We had our own like hip hop,
and there was a hierarchy.
Circle,
and
there was
and there was a next batter up. You know what I mean? There was a
but
next
it
man
wasn't even
up.
that. Like we had friends that didn't even rap, but they were part of it, and they would be there, and we'd all be like,
and I gotta say, honestly, the reasoning why is obviously because of you, the way you put your energy out there. Because he didn't just freestyle; he would go into beatbox, he would go into singing, he would give us like a live show, like we were the crowd, he had the mic, and we were just there to watch, and he would go off, and everyone's just like, "What the fuck?" So everyone is a little bit inspired and motivated. Like, he can do it like this. We should be able to do something, right? So we're all there. It's like, moonlight. We're on the basketball court. It's real like hood vibe, and everyone's spitting shit. And I'm just like, "Oh, I got it. I know what I'm gonna say. And I just had 4 bars prepared, and then I had nothing after that.
Oh,
that's
what?
It just died. But
you hear the guy
in the
now.
moment, Daiga, I guess he felt it and just caught it and jumped right in, so like nothing happened.
Yeah.
So after that session, me, Queez, and Daiga, we smoked a lot of weed.
Yeah, bro.
A lot of weed.
Man.
And we're kind of like, "Yo, your style's dope. And then we're like, we should make it. Queezy said we should make a group. Yeah. And none of us had even thought written songs or any of that stuff. That was not even a thing. But he's like, we should make a group. So I
don't even think I had written a song at that time. I wrote our first song for us. I believe, I think, was UCLA.
Yeah, it was. It was the very first.
A song before we ever talked about that. But when
that's
we
crazy.
finally got together,
so you just wrote bars up until that point?
I just wrote bars. Yeah, I have honestly, I have pages and pages. You've seen
I've seen it. Yeah.
I would come visit him, and I'd be like, "Yo, check it out, bro." Pull out the paper and just
spit it.
Yeah.
But with no complete song, no hook,
just bars. Yeah, and to me that was more impressive to me. The bars were more impressive to me because in my mind the hooks just fucking were just there, and so I heard the bars. I'm like, fuck, this is amazing, man. And so it really made me want to take writing seriously. So we would have these I'm not exaggerating. We would get together in the late evening and go to 1, 2 in the morning of just writing, just playing beats in the background and just writing whatever came to our minds. So one of us
recordings, man,
infamous sessions.
And
so
10
and the thing is
120-minute cassette tapes.
But the thing is we would all be working. We would all start songs together and then we'd move on to other beats, and other people. Somebody would still be working on the other song. Oh, I got something here. So Stevie Wonder's we were undercover, learning on the run.
Yeah.
He basically took that hook and flipped it and wrote a song for us called Undercover Love Affair. and it was all about scandalous women,
Yeah.
and how they fucking ruin guys' lives. And this is the very first song we ever did was fucking amazing.
Yeah, it was so good.
So it wasn't like just like a whatever,
No, it was
because people have a lot of throwaway songs. But
Yeah.
when we recorded this, I'm like, holy fuck, this could be on the fucking radio, man.
Yeah,
it had
still be on the
everything.
radio, man.
It had
You
the
could dig it out and people like,
it had the it had the R&B hook. It had the bars. It had the storytelling
Yeah.
trend. It was just all like put together perfectly, right? The only thing we didn't know how to do was write 16s.
Yeah.
Every verse was like 3 minutes long.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were greedy,
Yeah.
right? You want to be heard, you want to hear yourself, so you fucking get greedy and start writing. So this was all birthed in this really like organic, traditional hip
And we
hop
don't know.
movie way.
we don't know if this is how you do it or not. Like,
Yeah,
because
you
we didn't
just
grow
young,
up.
you
Like,
don't
we
even
don't
know.
watch. They don't. There wasn't. You didn't
Nobody
have.
taught you.
There was
You're
no
raw.
social media.
Yeah.
There was no videos like instant videos be uploaded of your favorite artists in the studio, writing bars, recording that shit. We didn't have that. We had to imagine what they were doing.
Yeah.
We had to like imagine like, holy fuck, what's fucking Redman doing right now? Is
Yeah.
he just smoking weed and fucking writing rhymes? Like, dude, we just crafted our shit. We would write our own songs. We would like freestyle without
Yeah.
music, freestyle with we'd rap over our favorite rap songs exactly the way they're rapping, but our own words for the whole song.
Also, burners.
That's how
Burners.
good we wanted to be.
Yeah.
That's how good we wanted
Dude,
to
he sharpened
be.
the sword like crazy.
Yeah. Our crew was called the On Point Collective, and we said if we're gonna be the
Yeah.
On Point Collective, you don't just have a name like On Point Collective and come up with some whack.
Yes. Shout out to
stood
Ian.
for
Shout out to
something,
Ian
man.
Wong though.
We stood for something.
Yeah,
you know?
shout out
That's
to Ian
tough,
Wong.
man, to
Yeah.
rap over a song
Yeah.
in the same cadence as the artist, but different lyrics.
I'd kill it every
Yeah.
time, man.
Well, the thing is-
I'm not just bragging, dude.
No,
You know,
it's
we
good to
killed
be
it.
that way. It's good to say that like it is,
And this is
right?
dope.
It's
OPC is
true.
a dope name, man.
That's how I
Yeah.
got my name.
Yeah.
I got my
Queezi.
name Queezi from Daga. Gave me my name. Freestyle in the car, and I just went off. And I think it was
Yeah.
I think if I can remember, it might have been a Wu-Tang beat, maybe.
Yeah, wow.
And it was just me and him, and we're parked out by Collingwood on the other side of the basketball courts from where he lives, and we're just freestyle rainy day, and he's like, "Yo, that shit was sick." He's like, "That shit made me queasy." He's like, "That's it. Your name's Queezi from now on." And that's it.
Because before then you were Jay
I was
Quick.
Jay Quick. I used to
Yeah.
go by Jay Quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so man, music is like
So
That's awesome.
made
I
so much.
What a
brought
good
up that
relationship
story
you
for a reason. I totally forgot, but the reason I brought up that story is what the
Here,
fuck?
smoke some more of this shit.
What the
Yeah,
fuck made you
get more of it?
What made you approach me in freestyle? What was the motivation?
I think about that and like and like as you talk about it, like even when I think about it, I have this image. Like I remember that's the one thing that I remember the most, like grabbing that, and I must have did so much crazy shit, like
Craziness.
talk to girls, talk to people.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
And
man.
dissing all the rappers that were popping at the
Honestly,
time.
Before I met this guy, I don't think I was like that. I don't think I
Weird.
was like that. And for some
crazy.
reason, the only like really, I'll tell you back then, I went and talked to this guy because he's a brown.
Yeah.
And he worked at the hip hop store, and I was like, "Fuck, he listens to rap music, so he must rap."
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, right?
Seriously.
I bet.
And little did I know, like 20 years later, like here I am sitting with my brother, and
Yeah.
like and we've been through all
pretty
kinds of
remarkable
stuff, ups
to
and
hit 20
downs.
years.
Yeah, man.
And I'm telling you, man, I take the fucking pen game so serious, man. Like I try to write 4 or 5 times a week, just free write bars, just trying to write. And I'm telling you, man, if I wasn't introduced to creating music with you first, I don't think that ever would have happened.
Wow, man.
Yeah, 100%.
pretty
Because
cool.
Appreciate that, man.
music was fun and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But when you go to write it and you want it to mean something, it would never have happened. Because the way you would write some shit, I'd be like, oh, fuck, man, I gotta fucking come up with something that's better than that. And then Dago would write some shit, I'd be like, oh, fuck, man, my shit's gonna sound whack.
Yeah.
So I had to be so particular and specific with every bar, man, because I wanted to fucking impress you guys.
Well, man,
I wanted you guys to be like, that's
And I
some
wanted to
shit.
impress you guys, right?
That's
because
dope.
I felt like in a way they did kind of like
Yeah.
look up to me or look to me, right, for guidance, right?
Yeah.
And I
You were
didn't
the
know what
spark,
I
man.
was doing the whole time, and I still don't know, right? But I still talk to a
Yeah.
lot of young
Okay.
artists. I mentor a lot of when I meet, I'm good. When I meet artists, because I was hosting shows for the last little bit, so I met a lot of people, talk to them, and you come across somebody every so often that you want to motivate and share it with, right? And like, cause I never, I don't see myself the same way other people see me. A lot of people
Yeah.
that, right? And so like a lot of guys would like talk to me about my rhyme style, right? And like, and how I rhyme and stuff. And I think about it like, yeah, like every rhyme I write, the next one needs to be better than the last one, right? Because I need to keep people listening, but I need to keep evolving the story. And if I just keep rapping about the same shit all the time, well, where's the story in that, right? There's nothing, right? Because I want people to follow me. I want people to understand my language. I want people to like, oh, when they're rapping along with me, that like they're only the language is only a language that we speak, right?
Yeah, 100%.
That they can share something with me, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, that's missing, right? From like that whole piece got taken out of music, right? Because we moved into the video age, right? Where you
became
need
a show me sport.
Well, yeah, and it became that, right? And yeah, all those things are still like, look, honestly, man, like it's 20 years now, and I'm like, I don't want to hear about like money, cars, jewelry, drugs.
It's true.
But there's so much other shit to say, man.
Come on, man, like. And if you want to, like, you got to go dig so deep for it now.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? I did this like 20 years ago. I'm not going to go dig around for music anymore, right? Like,
And if you're going to talk about money, all that, be creative, man. That's all it is. Just use your words in a way that makes people say, wow, man, that's some shit.
Well, is that how Snoop has held on? Is because he's kind of kept it.
He's a wizard, man. He's
He's
fucking chameleon.
kept it reality in terms of his age and everything. Like,
Yeah, I just think he accepts who he is so thoroughly that there's no fake.
I like I've watched some recent interviews of him and stuff, and yeah, like I really like how he like sees himself and his attitude and stuff, and like, yeah, man, I respect him as like
it's hard not to, right?
And you talk about like how he created this character of himself. Well, that's the brand, right?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people who do know me, they know me as Jason, but like most people know me like as Queezi, right?
Yeah.
Because like my circles are very small, but like my personal circles are small, but my music circle is huge. Like I did over like close to 12, 13 shows, and we have 30, 40 people sometimes at these shows, maybe more. And that's my circle. People know my name, right? So then they I'm not up there saying, hey, I'm Jason, and I'm just writing a rap. I'm like, I'm like, yo, I'm Queezi, right?
Yeah.
And, this is what I'm about. This is what I stand for, right?
Yeah.
So
And do you think, like, I think that's kind of hard for artists when they first start to develop who they are, to be what they are, like to introduce yourself as the artist, as opposed to you give somebody your legal name when you introduce yourself, or you introduce it like, I'm Alite. It's a thing to overcome for artists too, because it's a commitment.
yeah.
Now you've committed to this part of your personality, right?
I have like Queezi stands for everything, right? Like
who you
my
are.
thing's like, it ain't easy being Queezi, right? Like you can go online and listen to a lot of my music, and each song is different. Each song is about something different, whether it's a personal reflection or whether it's some telling a story maybe that I've experienced or heard. It always means something, and it's always some evolution, right? It's about evolution. It's about growing. And I'll touch on some of the same things, and I'll talk about on some of my songs. I talk about like a song on my fourth album I talk about in my first album. I say like maybe reference it or something, right? Or I'll sample it because I wanna have this with this relationship.
It's a collection.
With people,
It's a
right?
collection.
Yeah.
But you got a catalog now, man.
Yeah,
How many albums deep?
I've got I've got a few projects online. I got like 3 full-length albums, and then I got one like EP kind of deal, right? It's got a few tracks. I recorded that back in 2006, and I released that one like probably that was like my 3rd release, and I put that one out because that's like kind of before I really stepped into this realm of like taking it seriously, right? And being like a serious like professional artist and like like a standalone artist. That this is like after OPC. My life took like a different turn, right? And I fell into a different lifestyle, right? I fell into hard drugs, and I went down this different path in life, right? And this was my reemergence, so I put out this 2006 album, but I'd already had an album out called Never Looking Back, and that was probably like probably that's my one of my biggest moments personally is like releasing this solo project.
It's
and
huge,
like being
man.
like
It's huge.
and like having something out there now, right? Because again, it's like I've committed to something now, right? And I said, if this is all I ever do, that's it. I'm happy I made it, right? But something kept like to go back to like what got me into it is like something kept driving me. Something else is at work here where it's like, these messages need to be told. Whether it's me, like, and I'm going to take this from Tupac, but, whether it's me that makes the change, through my music, or if I influence somebody else to make the change, right? Like there's a line where he says, if I spark the, I might not do it, but I might spark the next mind to do it, right? So,
hell yeah.
I've
that's your purpose as
that's
you
valuable,
get older
man.
in your 40s, you know what I mean? Like that becomes your purpose in life.
Totally.
Motivator.
This is it now, right? And I'm at that place in my life now. I'm still gonna release music and still put out projects. So I have my latest album that I put out was it's called Just in Case, right? And there's a lot of material and content on there that I was talking about, like album I recorded probably, like I finished the album in like 2019, but I finally got to put it out like early this year. But a lot of the content I'm talking, it was almost like a foretelling of what's happening right now,
crazy.
Right? Yeah, so it's I really wish like my music would reach more people, but I feel like that's kind of like lost now, right? Because younger generation, they're into other things now, right? And like that storytelling, the message carry, like things like religion, all these things, they're all in question now, right? So people,
it's crucial.
They rather than believe things that happened before, they believe what's right in front of them, because that's real, right? That's tangible, that's real hard factual information, right? Like that's what people want now, right? Because we've moved from that age of rock and roll where it was like hard to get, and it's a message on a radio and a speaker. Now it's a visual presentation in your face, right? So it can be manipulated any way you want it to be, right?
So I know this is an absolutely horrible question to ask an artist of any kind, but all of this music put out, if you had to pick a favorite verse that you wrote, do you have one?
I thought about it. If I were to get asked this question, like, what would I do? So I was like, I have a bunch. So I have a bunch of different verses. I'd say it's one of my favorite ones. I did it recently. I did a track with James H.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's a
shout out James H.
Like one of the first guys we met in the rap game.
Yeah, he's a dope guy, man. And always very supportive.
Yeah. And he was producing for this crew that we were working with back in the day, Lucid Afterlife, Nat Jack.
Keep
Shout out to them if you watch it. Keep
Nat Jack, what up?
Yeah, like he's on some next stuff right now. So I follow him because he's an inspiration.
He's unique as fuck. Yeah,
he believed in us when we didn't even know how to believe in ourselves yet, right? Because we didn't even know. Like we were going to the I think about it now. It's like coming back to my. I'm like, we were going in the bedroom, like dirty socks over here. No offense, man, but like
No, he knows. Like, Matt knows.
Weed smoke in the air, long hair, like everybody.
Wow, dude.
The creative mind.
It was a basement in a mansion.
Oh yeah. In Burnaby Heights, like North Burnaby, right? Like it was for us. It was like
wild.
We're East Van, South Van, boys, right? Like
That's where we laid it down, man. Yeah, let's set it off.
So verse. Let's see if I could do it.
Yeah.
Broken and twisted, fractured and slivered, smashed, crashed, cracked and crippled, pick up the pieces, added adhesive, renovations, inspire my thesis, no more breaks down time or recess, just in case I get the call from Jesus, missed a few and then I made a few, I'm not Superman, I'm the same as you, life is hard but you gotta get harder, got some kids then you gotta be a father, like to write then you gotta be an author, if the price is right then you gotta make an offer, don't fear maybe, don't fear critics, this is your life, they don't live it, satisfaction do not give it to the ones that think that you less than gifted, all our mistakes they come with a lesson, winning or losing, it's all a blessing. Whether I'm stressing, vibing or guessing, put my head down and keep on pressing. Never looking back, 2006, heads or tails, how that chord gonna flip. Just in case I start to trip, thinking about failed partnerships. I look at my kids and I see my legacy, knowing damn well that this is my pedigree. No need to chalk, cause they are the best of me. Certified platinum, all in my chemistry. Dreams don't get lost, they evolve and adapt.
That's dope.
You can go check it out on. It's called Lost Apologies. It's on. That's a tongue twister.
Damn, yo.
I'm getting old now.
That double time and shit.
Double time. Yeah.
But you
don't get lost, they evolve and adapt. Sometimes regret keeps calling you back. Release the beast from these chains and you'll breathe with no cost incurred. We'll both be free.
Yeah, and you can hear the rhyme patterns are following the type of rap that you hear all over the place.
I'm trying.
But there's some shit that you're saying in these bars, man. That's the difference. That's where it matters, right?
This is where it is, right? Yeah. I have a lot of things to say, and I got to get them out. And you got so much time to say it, right? So you got to squeeze them all in there, right?
Yeah.
But again, like I don't think like today in this day and age, people aren't really listening to music, right? They're they're associating it with imagery and stuff, right? So or they're only picking up on certain things, right?
So is it like? So it almost seems to me now, listening to you guys, it seems to me that as you get older, you have to evolve to prolong any chance of breaking, because everybody wants to break.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to get that shot, right? So you got to constantly be like military about this and about the game. Like there's no just like going to write some bars and, to go down to the, thing where everybody goes on stage. What's that
Open
called?
mics.
Open mics, right?
Well, this stuff is all done.
You got to
now.
press it harder than that.
Yeah.
Now you do, right? Yeah, like that whole piece is gone. The last live.
Like the better you get, the harder it gets.
Yes, it does. Yep. Because there's the competition, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna start competing with different people that are in a different level, different realm of the game, right?
Yeah.
Because as you grow, as you climb, there's different things that come now at you, right? And it's not just the music business anymore. It's
Changes your life.
Exactly.
It's transformative.
They need to come out with a rapper who talks about how bad he used to be when he was younger. Right?
Like a bad rapper?
No. But but back in the day,
Yeah.
I was a badass motherfucker. I walk on the street and punch people. I didn't know I had guns, right?
Yeah.
You would be the toughest guy on the block, would be the champ, right?
Yeah.
But no one's rapping about that. There's no like overweight, kind of older 40s rapper
Nope.
who's like gray in his
colored.
beard, right? And it's talking about how bad he used to be. And I wish I was 20 years younger.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to be like,
Yeah.
you'd have to be an incredible writer to pull that shit off. Because it's just, the idea of it is,
Because
like,
that's all of us. We would give it a listen.
well, first of all, I'm trying not to be overweight.
Well, no. But
That's why I get on the treadmill and do some running and shit.
But I mean, people from the 90s. You know what I mean? You meet anybody who's lived in the 90s, and they always talk about how great it was.
Yeah, and like,
In the 90s, yeah.
but
Right? It was.
I grew up in the 90s. The
Yeah.
90s was good.
But do you want to be Al Bundy though? Do you want to be Pokai
No, but
reminiscent?
it's kind of funny. Yeah, I
I
don't
think
want to be
like,
that guy.
yeah, no, I like that.
No.
That thing bothers me because it almost signals like you're not gonna have great times again, and I can't handle that.
Well, what if you rapped about the better times to come?
I try to do that.
How
I
it
have
used to
some,
be?
like, I only have one album and it's kind of dark. Like
Yeah.
the whole project. I know it is,
Very.
but I wanted to create something that I felt like someone could listen to. Be like, okay, yeah, there's some shit here. Like, I want people to like peel the lyrics. Hopefully, one day when if I put out my second album and it blows, people go back to that one and dig a little deeper. And because I tried to put some gems in there, right?
Yeah.
But it's dark as fuck. And this next, the whole thing with creating something that you put out as like an artist when you first try and, I think it's a selfish pursuit a little bit because you're doing it for yourself. Obviously, you want to be heard.
100%.
You want people to hear you.
Yeah.
And when you finally get there and you put it out, the amount of work that it takes for an independent to get any kind of traction or noise and be themselves, you kind of have to sacrifice everything, right?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and like, so having a family, having kids, having all these things, they all come into play, right? Like, because every decision you make, every move you make is going to affect somebody else, right?
Yeah.
And are you doing it for yourself?
A little bit.
Or are you doing it for a greater cause, right?
Yeah.
For me, I feel like, I'm doing it for myself, but again, I feel like getting opportunities like to be a host and to be working with artists and
That's huge.
representing the culture, that's like a gift, right? Because it's not the only time, right? Like I've gone into like schools and I've worked with like kids, drop in and show them and teach them about the culture, right? But also talk to them about like how
That's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun too.
How it's changed my life, right? How it's affected my life, right? Because that's what I felt like I needed to do, right? So I'll continue to like do the same thing and have the same thing, and if I make it, I will, right? If I can get there,
I think we're all crazy, right?
A little bit.
We're all crazy, aren't we?
Yeah.
Like we've obviously, and anybody who watches this that's an artist or that is a dreamer, we've all committed early in our life that we were going to be crazy for the rest of our life. right? At some point. Do you remember the time you
I
committed?
committed to the dream, and then like I just realized recently that I'm crazy.
Yes.
And, like, I was like, holy shit! If I could do all this stuff over again,
Yeah.
I'd probably do a lot.
Yeah, right. Right?
That's a tough one, man.
Yeah.
But do
That's
you
hard to look
think,
at.
Like, because we're all on the same level in what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, do you think there will come a time in our life when we're going to be like, fuck, like, or are we so crazy that we still believe we're going to make it? Because I still believe I'm still going to fucking make it.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't care.
100%.
Exactly, right?
There's no
Not
such
in
thing.
this day and age.
Yeah.
Now anybody can make it, man.
Yeah.
You see it all the time.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
kinds of people are making it, right? But I think like now as society moves like into like, see, now that we've gone through this pandemic and we're going through it, like the things that are missing, I hope people are starting to see like the things that are missing, right? Because like whether it's at a community level or individual level or however big, right? But like something's been missing, right, from the world. And I think like hopefully this year 2021 moves into this more like conscious awareness, like way of living where people are gonna be and I've said this and I've said it that like it's gonna come back around. I feel like we as a people, like society, we need some guidance and stuff, and whoever's gonna come through is gonna come through this
Black
this,
Jesus.
So what's the make
Possibly,
it?
right?
What's the make it for you?
What's the make it for me?
Yeah, for you.
What do you mean? Like
When you
expand on that.
what do you want?
I think I'll tell you how I think.
So yeah,
after
if
you
you
ask
dream
this.
it, like
Yeah.
if you've dreamt it, what is the made it? Like I made it. What is that?
Oh man, like it could be as simple as like, I'm just paying my bills with the music and
Yeah.
stuff, right? I think for me, like and it's been big for me, right? Because this year's been really hard, especially because like when I graduated to this level of like hosting and stuff, right? Like I really felt like I was being asked to do something,
Yeah.
right? Like somebody did ask me, a friend did ask me, and we were talking one day and he's like, so what are you gonna do, right? You've been given this like opportunity, right? He's like, what are you gonna do with it? And I go, yeah, man, I'm gonna I don't know. I don't even know what
It's
I'm
the
doing.
first time. It's the
I've
first time thing.
I've never done anything like this before, right? But
Yeah.
I felt like this, I have to do something. So I feel like when the messages stop coming to me, and I feel, I don't know, man. I can't say that it's ever gonna leave me. I can't say that if I'll ever want to arrive, maybe this is how I'm supposed to be, because you know what, like my music has given me opportunities like this to talk and
Yeah.
to speak to people and,
Yeah.
and reach people this way. It's opened up doors for me. It's started conversations for me, right? I have friends now who I just know through only music, right?
Yeah,
That are
for
become
sure,
great
man.
friends, right?
Definitely.
So and so maybe that's what it's supposed to be, right? And I just haven't gotten there yet, right?
Yeah.
So I can't really just say what will be.
It's the journey, right?
Yeah,
What's to make it for you?
Oh, I wasn't going to say for me. I was going to say for music.
But what is it for you?
For
If,
me?
if Mike made it,
Yeah.
If ACDJ's whatever it wants to be,
Yeah.
and you're where you want to be, what
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that? What does that look like?
I want to be writing for film and TV and for other people.
Full-time
for
getting paid to
artists.
write.
Yeah, I want to just be writing. I want to open the door with script writing, but then from there I want to go into also songwriting. Because once you're already in the door there, if you've made your way on TV or
Everything's open.
everything, all the doors open for you as a writer. And I
Interesting.
think and this goes to what I'm saying, it's a weird thing, script writing, songwriting, I don't understand, right? But what it is that I think nowadays you have to do more than one thing.
For sure.
You can't be tunnel vision on one fucking skill anymore. You have to try to develop 5 or 6 360-degree, skills, man. And that's when the doors open for you, because now these younger people, I hate saying that, right? But now these younger people, they come out of high school with 3-4 skills. because the technology's there.
And
for
10,000 Instagram followers.
Right, and so what are we
That's
battling?
what you get when you graduate. Here's your diploma and your 15,000 followers.
Yeah, right. It's so crazy. So many shallow relationships even before high school. You know what I mean? Those are not the days, man. Right? So it's just crazy, dude. So you gotta fucking constantly change. And if you're a writer, I think you need to write a little bit of everything if possible, right? And, I think that you, sir, need to be doing podcasts. And, you guys need to have like a Vancouver hip hop podcast if they're not already
that'd be crazy.
Are they doing one though?
It's like, nobody is.
Nobody's really doing
All
it.
right.
So that's one thing we haven't really talked about, and it's like, locally, I don't feel like there's anybody really doing anything,
But
to
don't
contribute to-
exclude the past.
No.
I think what hurts us though is the local FM radio stations that don't play any
I was
local
interested.
hip
I was
hop.
having this talk, and I was telling my coworker, my colleague today about, like the beat, right? He's 24, I think. And so I was talking to him about the beat, right? And are we allowed to like name?
Yeah.
talk
Hey,
about
yeah,
it?
whatever you want to say,
Whatever
man.
you want, right?
Dude, we helped get them put on through Hip Hop Connection.
Oh yeah. When they're originally like advertised, their show coming online, it was presented in a different way. And
They lied.
It's
They lied.
I'm like,
Dude, the beat
skirting
said they're going to be a
around it.
hip hop
I love this
station.
guy.
Oh, really?
I try to be nice, man.
No,
We-
don't worry
there was a
about that.
petition.
He sets
There was a
it straight.
petition.
He's so
There was a
I love this
petition
guy.
through Hip Hop Connection. One of the places with Hip Hop Connection
What's up
to
with
get a
that,
hip hop
man?
radio
The
station
beat?
on the air. Hip hop.
Yeah.
Fucking hip hop. And they got great DJs too. All the hip hop DJs were like, "Oh, it's gonna be fucking dope."
Yeah.
And then it lasted like a month.
Yeah.
And then they started playing that top 40.
Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. We're like, "What the fuck happened?"
The only
happened?
time I really think they play hip hop is when Flip Out does the traffic jam.
Yeah.
Shout out,
Oh, yeah,
legend
Yeah,
in the
he's a
city.
straight
Flip
up
Out's a
legend.
fucking legend.
You know what I just saw? That I saw online on Instagram. They did a book of the Elements magazine.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and I remember I wonder if I still have copies of that in my parents' like house basement or something like that. But yeah, they did a hard copy of that. But yeah, so like this is so this is it, right? Like if you can't grow locally, what's the point of growing internationally? Because like I really feel like for me to define myself, if you want to go back to like around what's the moment is like when I feel like I've done something here to make a difference, right? Whether it's and if I have this ability through music, like we were talking about earlier about where are these guys now, where are these guys that we looked up to, like I want to be one of those guys. Like I'm I'm online, right? I'm posting right now. I'm just, kind of figuring out what I want to do, right? Because my main thing was, being the spokesperson, right? So now I'm like, okay, what are we going to do now, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting back right now and just kind of like being a little bit, of a spectator, right? Because who knows what's going to happen, right?
I'm the same.
It's such an interesting time in our lives right now, and it could turn any way, right? At any moment.
Yeah.
Hey, I hate to make it political, but they just signed this this bill in the U.S. to try to give Americans $2,000, the stimulus bill. And one of these weird commentaries in this bill is to have a full UFO disclosure within the next 180 days. Right? But I mean, why is this a stipulation in a bill that's supposed to be for paying people $2,000? It's a strange time to be incorporating it.
This is why you have to like look deeper. And if there's not these messengers, so say like media, right, can be so easily manipulated, right? But like you can't manipulate the words coming out of somebody's mouth. Like you can kind of like hear what's fake and what's not, right?
Yeah.
And like you can now you're not seeing any of these things that you're seeing that are happening in the world with the farmers, right?
Yeah.
In India.
Yeah.
Like they're not showing you that shit on the news, but if you go on Instagram, you can be like, holy shit, look at what's happening there, right?
Yeah.
The Muslims and the Sikhs, like
It's really bad times,
together.
man.
Bad times.
And
Yeah.
they're fighting together because the government's trying to oppress them, and our governments are just like allowing this shit
Fuck
to happen, not
Modi.
even fucking
Fuck
saying
Modi,
anything,
yo.
right? Like because they're all in on it together. It's
War
a fucking
criminal.
global conspiracy.
Well, this is what COVID is covering
Modi's a
up.
piece
All
of
the
shit, though,
COVID
yo.
news is covering up all the real fucking news,
Yo,
right?
but what? Okay,
It's still there if you want to
Yeah.
find it.
here's what I don't understand. Okay, like men that I look up to men that do shit, that get shit done, that are like strong. You know, like even if you look up to celebrities, you look up to guys like The Rock, guys that have like, you know, 80 million, hundreds of millions of dollars, doing big things, being, you know,
200 million
and being a
followers.
strong man, right? You look across the world, all these fucking countries, all these elected officials, they're all the whiniest, squirmiest little pussy-ass pieces of shit men that
Candy
you could
asses.
possibly have. One-on-one with Trump, what the fuck would happen if you got a one-on-one with Trump in a fist fight?
What do you mean?
In a fist fight, if you fought Trump one-on-one, what the fuck would happen?
Like, was I
no,
blindfolded?
just a fist fight, you and Trump, what the fuck would happen?
Well,
would be a
It would be a
massacre.
massacre, yeah.
Okay.
He'd be crying for his...
Now, let's say if you fought Justin Trudeau, what the fuck would happen? It'd be a massacre.
Well, yeah, he's a boxer, though.
But you-
He's got
You
a
would
couple...
get hit both
He's a
he'd get hit
weasel
both
too.
ways.
He's a little
He's weaselly,
sneaky.
right?
He'll
Sneak
fucking
out
get
there.
you.
Now
Yeah.
let's take a picture, okay?
Yeah.
Bolsonaro in Brazil, another bitch ass half man. You know, Duterte in the Philippines, another bitch ass half man. Modi in India,
Yeah, but
another
they're
bitch ass
elected for
half
their
man.
talking skills.
So what I'm getting to is what's happening as men when the bar has been lowered to this point where these guys are the men that are leading the narrative when we would never associate with these
Yeah.
men.
We have
Real
nothing
men,
in common with
I would
them.
never ever talk to a piece of shit like Trump.
Yeah.
I would hear his voice and be like, this guy's a fucking chum. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You wouldn't talk to someone that acts like this. But what the fuck's happening where these are the heads of these countries across the world?
Oh, dude,
everywhere.
I don't even want to get into that with me right now,
Dude,
man.
I really...
But
you know what? It's really because of... And it's not because of social media, but because social media has such power. That's why these guys have become this way.
They're little
And-
bitches. They're little.
Yeah.
I don't want to use pussy because
But you
pussy's
know what's
hard.
funny is that Trump was a outlandish caricature of himself. He got into the White House. You know what I mean? He really exploited everything. And if you think it's going to get better after Trump, it isn't. It's going to get worse because they saw how well it worked. And that's the one thing people aren't cluing into. They're like, thank God Trump's gone. Like, thank fucking God. Now we can get, back to being America. I'm like, no, dude. That guy got more votes than any other candidate in the history.
Yeah.
Outside of Biden.
No. I mean, between two elections.
Between two,
elections.
yeah.
He got the most votes ever. And you don't think that that's going to be the new bar set? It's going to be.
And you
They're gonna
lowered
get
it
smarter.
so much
Yeah.
that Biden doesn't have to
It was
do
it
much.
was raised. It was raised. It wasn't lowered.
no, I mean for decency. I mean for decency.
Raised. Even in decency, it was raised, dude. It was raised because now they
he
gave
did a
you
bunch of stuff.
Yeah, they raised
Yeah.
the bar, so now you have all of this space here to be a douchebag.
Yeah.
And people are
Oh,
used
I
to
see
it.
what you're
Now we're
saying. I
used
see
to
what
it.
you're saying.
Right? Now
I
we're
see what
used
you're
to it up
saying.
here.
Yeah.
Right?
I didn't
Yeah.
see where he's going with that
Right.
one. All right,
and
all right,
and
all
that's
right.
what the benefit of Trump was. That's why they needed him out only 1 year, because he couldn't take that bar any higher and make it, because then it would fall all apart. The system would fall apart.
Yeah.
Right now they needed to put professionals in there
Yeah.
to take that new high shit bar and work with it and go, okay, cool, man. What we'll do is we'll put a black president woman in. Right?
Because Biden's on his deathbed.
Because that's what everybody wants.
Biden's gonna
That's
die
what
soon, for
everybody
sure.
wants. All they want is a black woman president.
Yeah.
Michelle Obama didn't want to do it, so we got this girl come in. She's gonna do it.
Michelle would have won.
It's
Yeah.
the new fucking low, man,
Yeah.
and it's really sad. It's sad because my mom's black. My mom doesn't give a shit about if a black woman is in there or not. She's so detached from her culture.
It's not part of her reality.
It's not part of her reality,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but they sell it to her and people like her,
Yeah, Mhm. yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because of her lack of identity, now she can attach it to this Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that a single black women or black women in the States are the most powerful group
And
of
most
people.
educated as well.
And most
Yeah.
educated, that if you had them on your side, you own everything.
That's what wins elections. They're going to dictate elections going forward is black
It's
women
all
in the U.S.
fucked.
Yeah.
And that's why Michael Moore said, you will never elect a president ever again in
Yeah.
this country because of Trump.
Yeah.
Fuck, it's fucked.
It's crazy. It's all a big manipulation, right? It's yeah, man.
So what do you see? Because
I know you like
I
it.
see the wheels
Just-
turning.
just take it
Yeah.
out, man.
I see the wheels turning,
Take
but
it out.
you're not going all in.
I had
Take
to
it out.
listen to your brother here, right?
Yeah.
Like, and oh man, I think there's all kinds of stuff happening, right? Whether it's alien conspiracies or.
Did you see the Tic Tac UFO thing?
I did. Which
Yeah.
one? The black and white one?
Yeah. On the radar.
2017.
Yeah.
I've seen those ones. I've seen way more, man.
That's
Yeah.
there-
I'm
that's
into
an
some
alien
next-
version of a
I'm into
Prius.
some next level shit, man. Like I'm digging deep into stuff and like really trying to I'm not talking with people, but I'm reading a lot and kind of like trying to follow little trails here and there. Yeah. I like what you're saying. but I don't know, man. It's really tough. Like I think here's one thing that I think like Canada and China are in a secret partnership, and I think that I think earlier this year when he had his or was it this year or was it last year, he had the 15 military officials from the Chinese army over here.
Oh yeah.
It was
Yeah.
19.
Going around and buying up water. So I went and followed an article that takes me back like a couple more years, and there's been a bunch of Chinese millionaires and billionaires buying up water wells in
Wow.
BC.
It's
because
terrifying,
they're
man.
the best water.
It's terrifying.
So there's stuff like this happening, right?
Yeah.
And this is where I was gonna, I wanted to go with earlier, talking about on the local scene, right? Like this is where you think our messages would get across to the people, but that people aren't talking about that. So there's things out there, information that you need to look for, right? So so I think there's all kinds of partnerships happening. I really think that actually the overall goal of the governments is to have a one world.
I think so too.
I feel like that's where we're headed. We already see examples of it, like the United or like the UK,
the UN.
What is it? The UEI or the U, right? Like that's kind of like our first
Yeah.
introduction to it, right?
Yeah.
And if you look, like who's in that, it's like one of the oldest families, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the oldest families in the world. They have a lot of control over what what kind of happens, right? And
Emirates.
everywhere.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like there's. I feel like everything's kind of predetermined, right?
Well, the thing is,
And,
I think one thing that we don't pay attention to is they've made these things legal, right? They've made these things legal for them to do, like you're talking about the buying up the water and stuff.
Yeah.
They write it into law that allows these countries to come in and pilfer the government and take. And if the Canadian government decides to stop, I think we touched on this before with the tar sands. If the Canadian government decides to stop the taking of the water, China can then sue the Canadian government.
Oh, yeah.
Say, hey, this
Where
is
do
part of
you-
our business plan. You can't stop this train now. It started, right?
like, where do you think all this money is coming from? It's coming from all of these things. Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
government selling off pieces of our land.
Yeah.
Dipping into our our retirements.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
retirements. and,
Dude, they've
all
collapsed
that
the economy
stuff.
over this stuff before, man.
So it almost just look, it's already there. It's
So
history
what? So
repeating
what do you
itself.
see
It's already
then?
happened before, whether it's in an ancient society.
So what do you do
whether it's
then?
in- what's that?
So what do you do then? Is it worthwhile to run for office, infiltrate the system this way, and be bombastic in your determination for change?
I've thought about getting into politics. Like somebody talked to me recently, and they said, I feel like you're gonna in the next little while, you're gonna have this kind of opportunity or position where you're gonna be able to talk and speak, right? And that's something that I feel, right? Because I would really truly speak for our people, right? And
Yeah.
our generations and our younger generations, right? Because these are the things that we need to fight for.
Yeah.
We need to fight for our rights. Our basic rights are being taken away, right? And we need to know about these things. They need to be told to us, right? Because if we all here, we're paying taxes and we're doing all these
Contributing
things,
huge.
we have a right to all of this information, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And all this wealth in this, and all this wealth in the city, man.
Get me into it's not even our land to begin with, right? Come
Not
on,
even
man.
close.
There's so much shit,
Yeah.
going on. How can
Yeah.
you tell me that in Africa, okay, I'm gonna say Africa, and there's no water, no running water. People live in shitty
Hundreds of years
places,
they've been there,
or at least that's what
civilization.
they show us,
Yeah.
right? And
There's some amazing areas of Africa.
you can't tell me. Yeah, obviously there's definitely some populated some really great areas I've seen, right? But how is there things in the world hunger and poverty? And,
Yeah, it's bizarre to me.
Are you kidding me, man?
Yeah,
you got hold on. You got $90 billion to pump into a fucking fake virus that has it's all out there. Facts are out there. 99.9 almost percent or 7% survival rate or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
What's really going on?
It
And we're all just eating it up, right?
Well, the thing is, the information is that you brought up Africa still pays tens of billions of dollars
Yeah.
of tax money to France for stopping slavery.
Wow, that's crazy.
For ending slavery. It's like a penalty they're indebted to pay.
Not to mention all the countries they go in there and mine all their fucking natural
dude,
resources.
China's one of the
and
worst,
shit.
man.
Just
China's one of the worst.
fucking
The U.S. is just as bad.
Me too.
Bullshit.
You know, the worst
really
part is
sad.
like when Barack Obama was president, they set up this AFRICOM mission to create commerce in Africa through these, programs. And it's the worst part about it is it's happening from all parties across, because Africa is the most, mineral.
It's defenseless.
Yeah,
country.
well, I mean, the thing is, it shouldn't be, because Gaddafi was pretty bold, right? He didn't give a fuck about anybody's
Everyone's leaving
influence.
South Africa. It's
He wanted to combine. He wanted to create a one Africa. Like Gaddafi wanted to set up a one African nation,
like no provinces,
and still have your own identity, but create one nation, one economy. And he had gold-backed currency. Gaddafi was balling out of control,
crazy,
man. And he had the social welfare programs in Libya when he was the ruler. I don't want to say prime minister because he didn't get elected, but the ruler of Libya. So he had some pretty fucking good programs. Not perfect.
Yeah.
But where's perfect? Canada's perfect. U.S. is perfect.
hell no.
There's fucking
Canada's
poverty all over
perfect,
North
man.
America.
Yeah, everywhere.
But what Gaddafi was doing, Gaddafi had social welfare program because they had mad wealth.
Yeah.
When you get married, you get $50,000 to start your life. $50,000 check to start your life.
Wow.
They had one of the most advanced airports in the world in Libya. They had
Is he gonna get it all back? Man?
well, tax money is going to continue to contribute.
Oh man, that's
and if
why.
you
and that's
and the
how
thing
you
is, like,
grow a economy.
Yeah.
and if you have an economy that you want to grow,
Yeah.
you have to start with the government creating programs for the economy to grow. We could be transitioning our whole energy sector to solar in BC right now and create hundreds of thousands of jobs immediately. High-paying jobs.
They want to do secret golden handshake deals for pipelines through our provinces, and it's crazy
Using our
shit,
tax
man.
money.
There's so much corruption and shit that but our younger generations are so misled, man, that they're the greater voice, right? Like we're old guys now, right? Like who's gonna fucking want to listen to a cranky old guy, right? Like, but somebody might listen to somebody who's young who can relate to kind of them, right? But again, like we're being so misled and we're being masked by so many things. Like this is a big mask cover up is what I think, right? Like, I believe there's some legitness to this, right? People, some of the things that I might believe, like people might say, "Oh, that's crazy," like conspiracy theorists talk, right? But I feel like things like sterilization are here at play.
Oh, it's already happened, man.
Eugenics, right?
Yeah.
Like all the things that. The conversations that are kind of happening in the background behind like the conversations around today we had 95 deaths. It was it was around like 95 deaths or something, right? So I think we're not even broke 1,000 yet for BC. I think it's like under 1,000 for the but sorry for people that have lost people to COVID and stuff, but like it's what is it? They're telling us stuff, but they're not really telling us anything, right? And so if you go and look for information, like, yeah, man, there's people out there talking, right? And things are gonna fall apart for them, and they're gonna have to look at putting back into the communities and the
They
people.
have to,
and
otherwise they're gonna die.
Because that's it.
Yeah.
Instead of relying on outside, people to come in and contribute, buy stuff, or they're getting products or goods and services. Like, if Trump did good things, he made everything, no, man, like you gotta, you can one, like China can't have control, of all these things, right? We need, stop relying on other people,
autonomy.
like, autonomy, right?
Yeah.
So, even as many shitty things that he did, if you look kind of at the broad big picture, he actually
Like
did
his message, basically.
he did some things. He's like, let's take back this shit, right? Like we're being sold out is basically what I feel like he was there to do.
He let everyone know.
I don't feel like he was like a puppet or anything like that. I feel like honestly he was put there to say because he needed to be a douchebag because
I think he just is.
the people that are he is and they needed his douchebaggery because the people that are the corporations and the CEOs like that's who we all know are really in charge of stuff, right? The people with the money, right? That he's the only person that can stand up to them. Because they're such assholes too that they don't give a fuck. Like, come on, man, you're telling me like guys like Jeff Bezos, a billionaire, didn't piece us off a little bit that they would still be rich. Like a billionaire, if he gave us $20 billion, he would still have
way too much motherfucking money.
So it's like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know, like even in Canada, you know, go look it up. There were 16 CEOs that like made like $1 billion.
They
Like, are
collected.
you fucking kidding me,
Yeah.
man? During the pandemic time,
Suicide
And there's
rates are
guys like-
skyrocketing because of poverty and people
And there's
just
people
being over.
Like me, like
Well,
that
is this the great call though? Is this part of it?
are, possibly.
Right at the
Possibly.
beginning.
Yeah.
So like I think I think pandemics are an eventuality because we're biological organisms. We're gonna fucking get sick. It's an eventuality.
It's gonna happen more
But
often.
I think this one was unique because they didn't, for a long time, they didn't know what the fuck it was. And I'm not talking about what the media is telling us. I'm talking about what scientists are saying. They didn't know what the fuck it was. Like it kind of like was doing different things to different people. I think that was unintentional. The virus was unintentional, but the control mechanisms were intentional. The idea to keep people indoors, the idea to get everybody masked up. I think a part of it was how quickly can we convert the population into a little box. I think
was
that
a
was definitely a
thug
part of
for
the.
future.
I think that was part of the sinister thinking.
If I was a thug,
Yeah.
I'd have the time of my
Can you
life right
imagine?
now.
It's easy.
man, all
Can you
masked
imagine
up
this?
and
Yeah,
shit.
it's easy.
We're trying to work on facial recognition technology that can like identify you
Your
just
eyes.
from your eyes, right? Because now we're gonna
Because
be all
retina
masked
scans.
up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. There's all kinds of crazy stories out there, right? But like this, yeah, I feel like there's. So here's what I think. I think one article I read was around there was like it was a high number too. It was over 80, maybe 90% of women who went through this trial of the vaccine. It was the Pfizer vaccine. They all were sterilized after. They became sterile.
no way.
Jeez.
So you know, and then that
Population
made
control.
me look further back to you know. Oh geez, I have a bunch of stuff.
There's been a
that
few
my-
sterilization programs.
But there was
I know indigenous women had.
Vancity or something, some medication they're putting into the vaccines causes sterilization in men and women.
Wow.
It actually goes into your DNA. So you know how they have the mRNA and the RNA
Yeah.
stuff now, right? And that's the big argument now,
Yeah.
right? It's actually going into your brain and changing your DNA, right?
Mm-hmm.
To be able to fight off viruses and stuff now, right? That's the big argument.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, we don't want this, right?
It's engineering.
and stuff,
Yeah.
right?
The Christian, what's it called? Like I was reading
It's
about
engineering you differently.
Genetic engineering.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like this is shit. This is what people are talking about. Man.
next level,
Yeah,
man.
it's
This is
crazy,
next
like-
level.
Okay, so now we identify.
Yeah.
We're not, what's the next? Because we talk about the shit and then frustrating. It
next
gets
is
people.
civil war.
What's next for people though? What do they do? What do people do?
The next is a black uprising in the United States. I really believe that's coming.
It's very close.
It has
We just said that in the car.
it has to
So what?
happen.
Yeah.
It has to.
It's already been happening.
It's just a silent Cold War. Like it's a silent war right now.
There's way more of us than there is of them, right?
Hmm.
So like when I say that, I mean like there's more of us than an army. Any army in the world, there's
Any,
more people. We
yeah.
work together. They already did it. Like watch videos, Venezuela, man.
Yeah.
Like with people, they just all stopped what they're doing. Like, they
Yeah.
walked up to their fucking government building and they say,
Said,
"Hey, fuck
"We're
you,
taking
we
this
got
back."
1 million people.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're like,
Yeah.
fuck this shit, right?
Yeah.
We're tired of this, right?
Yeah.
But why won't we do that here? Because we've been dumbed down. We've
In
been
Canada?
We've been
Well,
made afraid.
We've been made to
know,
believe we're Canadian.
Yes, exactly.
Beer
I'm
drinking,
sorry, but I'm
polite.
Not sorry, right?
Yeah.
Like,
What street corners? Get on soapbox in the street corners and just talk to people.
We're looking at this dystopian type of future, maybe,
Yeah.
right? Where it's gonna go to that.
I think
But
so.
for a lot of people, it is. For a lot of people, it's going
Do you
to.
not,
Yeah.
Look at the imagery that we've been showing. Look at all the shows that we've been watching in the last decade. Walking Dead. Here you go. It's a big example.
Yeah.
Like I would joke around with people. I go to 7-Eleven. I have my mask on at fucking 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, shit, man. I feel like I'm in Rick and Walking Dead. And people know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's exactly what
Yeah,
I'm
but
talking
mask is reality for the next year.
We're so naive to it though, man.
about. My
Like
take on nothing against fighting or anything, but
Yeah.
they really bigged up fighting so that they could prepare our youth for fighting in the future.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like it's all like this is what I feel like.
Yeah.
These are my views, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
this is my
for sure.
views. Like I feel like
I
these
believe
are
it, man.
things, right?
It's-
I feel like there's something behind everything, that's leading us to something, right? Like, whether it's a UFO disclosure and we're revealed all of this information that's like
the new
that's
pandemic.
missing, right? Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of information that's missing from our history books, right?
Yeah.
That that's what I feel like is going to be revealed to us this year, and this is where the change is going to happen, right? where people are either gonna uprise,
Yeah.
right, and be ready. Like it's in the back of my mind, like are they gonna? Are we gonna fight? Right.
Well, this is why.
Right?
This is why white America, they took on Kamala, they snatched her up, picked her up as a free agent, and are going to use her to help control black population.
In the States over the last 15 years, they've been regulating gun control, taking guns back.
Yeah.
Limiting the amount of weapons people can have now. Why?
Yeah.
But the thing is, like,
it's a plan. Right?
I think we're just naive to it, though. There's places in the world that are already experiencing third world conditions that we'll. I think this pandemic was the first wake up call for us living in our bubble, that our bubble isn't fucking secure and isn't stable, and the people that we've elected to be in charge don't really know what it means to be in charge, right? Yeah. And the thing is, like, there are countries in the world that have 0 cases. Mm-hmm. There are. Oh, yeah. Australia, New Zealand, 0 fucking cases. Yeah. And not new. New Zealand's had 0 cases for a couple of months. Yeah. And on this side of the world, we look at that like, what the fuck? How the fuck?
Because they have prisoner mentality.
Well, over there, that's an accomplishment. That's a celebrated accomplishment, right? Yeah. But we pay all these fucking taxes. Half my motherfucking check goes to taxes. Yeah. We elect these people in the power. Yeah. And
it's actually around 17 to 20%, I think.
It's pretty disgusting. It's pretty disgusting. And we pay these taxes. We elect these people into a position of power to work for us and do things that we expect them to get done.
Nobody looks like me. The thing is, looks like me. They don't.
Jag meat.
They didn't put them in, right?
Yeah. So our expectation should be 0 cases. Mm-hmm. That should be the minimum expectation for us as people living in BC and North America. That should be the bare minimum. 0 cases. We pay you a lot of motherfucking money. You get a guaranteed pension after 4 years if you're an elected official in Canada.
6 figures.
You get 6 figures guaranteed when you start working. You get a lot of motherfucking money to fix shit when it goes wrong. Yeah. And if you're not fixing shit when it goes wrong, why are you elected? And I don't think we're doing this enough. I don't think that's happening enough. No. Yeah. I don't think enough people are saying, listen, I pay taxes. What the fuck are you doing? Yeah. Transit's always late. Yeah. ICBC rates are through the roof. Rents through the roof. Mortgages are through the roof. Yeah. Electric bills are through the roof. Mobility bills are the highest in the world. Entertainment bills are highest in the world.
Buddy.
We're paying all this money, and anything that people expect to go their way doesn't go their way.
No, never.
It just doesn't make sense that all this is being taken and not reciprocated, and not enough people are saying this. Why the fuck are you getting paid this money if you're incompetent?
There's so many other places in the world that are doing the right thing.
Phenomenal jobs.
And it's working, and it's been proven, whether it's like down to their healthcare system or like the way they deal with like their drug problems. Like, man, we live in BC. I've been here for my whole life, and like, there's nothing's changed, man. Yeah. Everything's stayed the same.
It's gotten worse.
Yeah. It's just it continues to get worse.
It's gone way worse for sure.
It's like
I haven't doing heroin in fucking elementary school.
Yeah.
It blows me away that this is happening.
Dude, my 13-year-old just showed me on Snapchat her friend's New Year's Eve party. 13 fucking years old. I'm table like this, lines of cocaine. This is my 13-year-old showing me this. Lines of cocaine and just nugs of bud all over the place. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, do these guys have older siblings? Like, yeah, it's all their older siblings. I'm like, that's fucked up.
It's crazy, man.
Fucked up.
Yeah. It's reality.
Parents are failing their kids, though, man. Oh, yeah. Parents are failing their kids. Yeah. It's a big deal.
And it sucks because, a lot of the kids now are from parents that are like around my age and stuff, right?
Man,
and like
real.
I grew up listening to the same music, grew up in the same times, the same culture, went through the same things. We grew up in a crazy time. The age of technology
fucking just nuts.
Bursted in the last for like 10 feet.
But we went through a lot of that. We went
through
a lot of that gangster shit too in the 90s, man. Yeah. A lot of our people get fucking dead everywhere.
See a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people die. Yeah. We grew up in a different time, and now it's like I don't know, man. Like I feel like things are so
desensitized to it.
Yeah, so exactly. That's what it is, right? And it's not that they take things for granted. It's just they don't know. They've never been.
They don't really have the experience. No. They just know so much because there's so much content online
everywhere.
So they're smarter than us. They can come up with shit we didn't even know, and we lived through that.
Yeah.
But because they want to be this so bad, they can just.
They don't know. Like my girl was telling me earlier, her older daughter was saying that a friend of theirs or a friend of a friend's died like recently, January 3rd. And you guys might have heard of this, but they died in a car accident on the highway number 1. He'd ate a bunch of mushrooms and he was driving, and I guess thought
Jeez.
something, but he was chasing him, or he could like do whatever, and so this is just another example, right? Like where if we're artists today, like they only paint one side of the picture, and then social media, they continue to reaffirm what they're saying in their music through their imagery, right? Because it continues to gain their popularity and their fame and stuff, right? So and it's really sad because the same thing happened to us, but like we were lucky that we were like that last kind of dying breed of like people who actually were able to be free thinkers and like have a conscience and use it, and and so now it's like I don't see any of people in those positions of power with any real substance and really making any change or affecting any change in the world when right now could be the time. Now could be the time for somebody to really step up and be like, but I again, right? I feel like there's a bigger agenda here, and people are, they have their hands tied, right?
Well, and it's this cancel culture too that we're in, where if you say something that someone doesn't like, they have the free ability to cut you down and have people follow them, and just tear you down online.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah.
I don't give a
If
fuck
Malcolm
about
X
all
was
that.
alive today,
If
Malcolm X was alive today, and he had to involve himself on social media, how would he cope?
he's uncancelable, man. There's certain people that you just can't fuck with. I think Chappelle's one of them. You can't fuck with Chappelle. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. He's flawless in his delivery. Malcolm X, you couldn't fuck with someone like that, man. Just too powerful. His mind is too powerful.
Yeah. He would have loved it, eh?
He would have destroyed it. Can you imagine Muhammad Ali on social media?
Oh my goodness.
Holy shit.
Oh, trolling everybody day and night.
Oh, yeah.
There's just certain personalities you just can't fuck with, right?
Could it have affected his legend?
Yeah, because, I mean, they
would've
say
gone too far.
he's the most photographed athlete in the history of athletics, right?
Who's this, sorry?
Muhammad Ali.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's had more pictures taken than anybody else in the world. So, I mean, he is his own social media, man.
Yeah.
Motherfucker hired a camera crew, got on a bus,
Yeah.
went to his opponent's house, challenged him outside his house.
Yeah.
Come on now.
That was awesome.
So ballsy. You just can't fuck
Ahead
with
of his
that.
time, and like,
Can't fuck with that.
What historic figure would have been, besides Muhammad, would have been a gem on social media?
On
Who do you
social
think?
media?
Oh, Pac.
Pac
Would have been crazy.
He would have been crazy.
He was a wild man.
Who else? Like old guys, Richard Pryor,
Oh,
George
jeez. Carlin would have been a gem.
Oh
man.
chopping it up on the daily. There's lots of guys, man.
Yeah,
You know.
Carlin's a G. Carlin, in my mind.
Carlin, I think, would have probably taken it. He would have been the Twitter king.
Carlin's come up quite a few times on this
A
podcast.
video of some of his stand up where he talks about like you're paying your taxes, and you're just getting fucked up the ass, right? Like, when you're gonna wake up.
Dude, he's such a
right?
G.
Like,
Okay, wait. It's interesting how we got here right now.
course.
How do you feel about him saying the N-word? About Carlin using the N-word? Because he used it a few times in his stand-up.
I don't know. For me, it's one of those things. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't really use it, and he used it, and that's his thing, and he had to deal with it.
You know what's weird, man? Like, I have a disdain for the word, but I gotta say, man, when he uses it, I don't feel anything.
No,
he just
doesn't,
does
like,
it so beautifully, man.
Yeah.
It's
Do
just
you think white comics try it?
Louis
think,
C.K.
like,
has.
Right,
he
and just sort of like,
bombed.
fuck it,
He
I'm going
bombed.
to do it.
Yeah, he used the N-word a couple times. Because the idea of the bit was, don't say the N-word because you're putting the word in my head. Don't be a fucking coward. Just say the word, right?
Yeah.
So he kind of played it. That was his approach to the N-word.
Yeah.
And it didn't go over very well.
And then
Didn't
Michael
go over.
Richards.
Yeah, he just fell on his face. Kramer.
Oh,
Just fell on his face.
that was brutal.
That was really bad.
That was a crazy time in his life.
And the thing is, like,
Fucking
and there's a place where hecklers should shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, totally, man.
Like, so we're Indian, we're brown skinned individuals that are obsessed with hip hop.
Yeah.
I don't use the word myself.
Yeah.
You've never used the word
we
when you
actually
rap.
had a conversation around, a long
Why
time
do you
ago.
choose not to use it? What's your reasoning?
I'm not black, and it just doesn't have anything to do with me, right?
Mhm.
So, I don't even think black people should use the word.
Yeah.
Like, that's how my
That's a
opinion, right?
conversation
Like,
too.
I really, it's in all of their music and stuff, and I could really care less for the word, right?
Yeah.
But to the black people, it means something else, right?
It means money.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you see some of these other dudes that are not black using the word?
Oh, I just think it's a joke, man. I'm like, they don't understand, right? Like,
They really don't. They really
we
don't.
consciously, we talked about it, and we said, and I said, yeah, man, I just, no. and even like even like using like swear words in our rhymes and stuff, right? We were just like, no, man, we need to like fill the spaces with like instructions and like, information, not like fucking shit and stuff like that.
If we did swear, if there was a reason
Yeah,
for it. It
there
was
was
to
a reason
express
behind
something
it, yeah.
with a specific purpose,
So
right?
It's
I'm a
very
vic-
calculated,
Yeah.
I'm a victim in my case. No, it's just fucking really sad. But I've analyzed my entire life through therapy. And shout out Dr. Wong. Shout out Dr. Carl. Shout out to Rebecca Stanford,
Roll the dice.
PDA, PhD. Shout out to Fairway Pharmacy. Shout out to Safeway Pharmacy. Shout out to so when I grew up as a kid, my mom was black. I was at school and I disowned my mom because people used to tease me because I had a black mom. This is the 80s, dude.
That's
This
rough,
was the
yo.
80s, right? So I used to say it was my stepmom.
Yeah.
Because I got bugs so bad about it, I didn't know how to deal with it.
Damn.
And there was none of that racial teaching back then. It was just like, fight it out or walk away. Just
there was
walk away.
there's no reasoning.
So my mom, when I would tell her this, you know what she said? She said, Michael, because she grew up in an orphanage in Nova Scotia, got tied to a tree, called the N-word.
smokes.
You know what I mean? Got all that, right? And she really had a tough time. And me growing up, I always remember my mom would say, Michael, it's just a word. Don't let it bother you. Or just ignore it. Just ignore it. And I remember as a young kid, she kept telling me, just ignore this stuff, ignore it. And I didn't look black, but they were talking about my mom, right? And it's so weird, dude, because when you're that young and you're told to be ignorant, you become ignorant.
Yeah.
100%.
And it isn't your fault. You just become ignorant to the fucking stupid word, right? And I'm not affected whatsoever by it. I think it's a joke. I think when people use it, I see money, and that's all. And then whenever I see someone use a word on TV or whatever, it's always associated with image and branding, and it has nothing to do with hate.
So origins of the word, right?
Yeah.
That we're talking about. Like if you and feel free, anybody watch it in the video. Like after this, like go look it up. But like the word is actual word.
Yeah.
The pronunciation's a lot different, and the meaning is a lot different. It's actually like the most legit article I found reading around it was is that it's actually translation is king.
Yeah.
Originally,
Kemet
language, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Which is like some of the first people that there's
Message, yo.
and stuff, right? Like,
Fucking
so
bars,
that's another
yo.
reason why we never really see what's going on in Africa, despite this desolation and this hopelessness. Is that there's a lot of history there too. There's a lot of
Power.
history of
You
the
go
world.
first civilizations.
A lot of history of the world originates from there, right? So yeah, like for me, that word is like, it has a different meaning, and I'm like, so if people want to look and see what it is, like,
It's crazy.
But it got twisted into this thing because
It became a label because they became objects instead of humans,
here you go,
right?
right? Let's say white people, Europeans, whatever, back in the day went to Africa and they found these people and they were calling themselves the word, like saying the word, right? And when they translated it, they translated it the way that they
Heard it,
language.
yeah.
And this is how it became this word.
So then every person
So when they
became
brought the people over, the enslaved people,
That's
is what
the
they
title,
called them because this is what they thought that they called them. But this guy was actually calling the person his king. His king, right?
Yeah.
He was saying that this is a king, so they thought everybody was like, it's probably greater than that.
For sure.
It's as simple as that, right?
Crazy.
Even
true.
my last name, right? Like my dad asked about my last name because I have this Asian last name, but I'm not Asian in any way, right? And South Asian, I guess, right? So
I hate that.
I just,
South Asia?
Yeah, it's like
I hate that shit. That's nonsense.
Fijian,
Yeah.
that's it, man.
Closest thing.
Southeast Asian?
Did you do some tracing back?
I did. I looked up and I found some names and stuff, but I'd already known from what my dad told me is that my last name is like longer, right, than what it is. It's actually the root is part of it. So the first 4 letters of the root of it is, and then there's more. It's missing. So when my people were brought from India over, like indentured slaves, right, from India, brought over to like colonize Fiji and stuff, right?
Sugar canes. Yeah.
Goddamn, that queen, man. How old is that lady?
Bitch ass. 600 years old?
Yeah, she's about 600 years old. I swear to God. Yeah, she's got to be at least 600.
Vampire.
Dude, she
She's got
enslaved
600,
Indians to go to Fiji because she wanted sugar.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Sugar canes. Yeah.
Oh, I
Crazy,
think the
dude.
royal family's into all kinds of
Oh,
stuff.
Oh,
they're
for
the
sure,
worst.
man.
Yeah.
They're the cabal, man.
They're hiding all of the sins of their
100%.
ancestors and themselves.
Not only that, but they've done a lot of shit too in
This
their
queen.
last like 100 years, man.
The largest landowners in the world.
Oh, come on, man.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
guess so. Eh?
Yeah, they need to be obliterated, yo.
I've seen videos that tie like the missing women, Robert Picton farm women to the.
Yeah, I've
royal
seen some of
family,
that. I've
right?
seen some
Everybody
of that.
knows about the
Yeah.
story about the
There's some chains.
indigenous children that she
Yeah,
took when
yeah,
she went to.
yeah.
Everybody
The
knows
15
about that.
kids and
There's some-
Dig
just some
around, man.
chains.
There's some crazy stories about them, man.
Yep.
Wow.
You know, why do you think?
Is
you
there
know,
some, like, law or
you know,
something?
The younger brother bounced, right?
Bounced. He's like, I can't.
Got the
His
fuck
girl was
out.
like, oh,
If
you
she's
know
a
what?
normal human.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing, like, you know, the power of the P definitely gonna change, right? Like, it will change a man. He's like, fuck this shit. I ain't down with this shit. I'm gonna go with this chick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh,
You know?
100%. Yeah.
So that there's a big tell right there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they just give him whatever they want.
got some
like
chocolate brown love.
part of our taxes goes to went to go pay for their time
Yeah,
here,
that's
right? Before they
ridiculous.
took off. Now they're in
weird.
California, or
Yeah.
something like that, right? So like, you know, like it's and we still pay taxes to the British Commonwealth still to this day.
And the queen still has veto power over
I wonder
the
if they have
Canadian
some
government.
come in
Crazy.
here and ride out on us, man. She can
Yeah.
come over here and take us over.
Her
Yeah.
Majesty
Any-
service,
any-
she has complete.
So they probably
reign.
that's why
Crazy.
she was able to leave with the kids because she's like, I claim you.
Yeah.
I claim you for the queen.
Oh, yeah.
They probably have
Adrenochrome.
still that.
Oh,
Adrenochrome.
sorry, yes,
Oh man.
YouTube.
But you know, there's a great picture of her bowing down to Haile Selassie
Oh wow.
when he was the king of Ethiopia, and there's a picture of her literally bowing to his hand. He was the shit, yo.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a powerful king. Inspired
there's
the great
nobody like
Bob.
that around
Yeah,
anymore,
no.
going
Not
on,
that's unapologetic when they speak, right? And we really have to not give a fuck, because honestly, I don't give a fuck, man. Like I have a 9-to-5 that I have to work to pay my bills, and it's understood.
You have to.
But outside of that, man, I
Not even-
don't give a fuck,
You gotta-
man.
like you,
Yeah.
you, you know, you can relate, right? Because you have your mom is black, right? And
Yeah.
so like we're dark skinned, right? Like we had it harder than you know
Yeah,
most people, right?
100%.
And so and you know I look around today to where I got to, and I made it to you know as old as I am, and I have the knowledge that I have, right? And I have all these grades, so that you know lets people know like this guy
She
ain't
shines,
fat, right?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, so you can't take that away, right?
No, you
You know.
And I think
Yeah.
that's where the success lies in like knowing what you have at this point in your
Yep.
life and working it.
Yep.
Right? Because it's funny, dude. I really believe like as you get older, your success open door changes. You know, so always being well versed.
Well, it turns into different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
You
you
do a
evolve.
podcast, man. You have to. You have to do a hip hop podcast, man.
It'd be dope. I think it'd be dope, man.
I think so.
Talk about eras, talk about artists. We can go all day with hip
It
hop.
goes back a long time.
I talk hip hop. I thought about. I've been thinking about doing something, and I just gotta get it together. Man.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, you're a natural communicator,
yeah.
Yeah.
right? And I think that's what makes a good rapper, right? Being able to
100%. It does.
talk to people.
Storyteller.
Tickety-tock-tock.
That was good, man. Well, I appreciate you coming in, bro.
Great session.
We're gonna do more. We'll do more in the future, right? Like we want to go mobile a little bit.
Well,
in the
let's
future.
let people know where they can find you, man.
Yeah.
All the places they can find you.
I'm on most social media platforms. Facebook, just type in QUEEZI. That's Queezi.
With an I.
Pretty much Google
With an
that,
I.
and like it will lead you to most things that have to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
There's not too many other. I'm like one of the only ones. There's a couple, and they're whack. So
I think you're the only one. I think you're the only one.
I got a personal
that?
rule. I never listen to someone's music, like a musician, until I meet them.
Oh,
Huh.
I
Interesting.
never do because I'm always like, no, I'm not gonna go and sit here and see what you present on.
Yeah.
YouTube.
Oh, word.
I'm
Okay.
gonna meet you first. When I like you, then I'm gonna listen to.
Oh,
you.
you got a lot of music
Yeah.
to dive into, man.
I know, I got
You got a
lots of-
catalog.
Yeah, I
too.
got a bunch of like I got all my stuff's on like Spotify, Apple Music, all those places. Just look
Wicked.
up Queezi and like Instagram. I made that handle. Like I've had that handle for such a long time, and I grabbed all those things.
Yeah.
As soon as social media came in,
Yeah.
I grabbed it because I didn't know how things were gonna go.
Yeah,
like,
for real, man.
So
Wicked.
even my email is Queezi@hotmail. That's like a pretty original. Like,
Wow, at
pretty damn
Hotmail.
original.
Yeah, at
Wow,
Hotmail, right?
you
So-
40-year-old.
So yeah. Wait, what? Sorry. Yeah.
That's why you're trying to pull it off, and it asks you for your email. That's
Yeah.
how they figure it out.
Easy.
You pulled the
At
Hotmail.
Hotmail. What the
It was
hell?
my daddy's email. I just used it.
Hotmail, buddy. So yeah, and yeah, check me out, man. Reach out
Oh.
to me, talk to me. You know, I'm hoping to get back onto, you know, when things change, you know, up with this whole virus and pandemic. Like kids call it the virus. Daddy, when's the virus gonna go away?
No.
I'm hoping it goes away soon, right?
Yeah.
But I'm hoping live shows will get back
Be
online.
great.
And yeah, and I can get back into that and open up some doors for some other people.
Yeah, man.
It's dope.
real important.
That's where it's at, man.
It'll
I think
happen.
That's what keeps me in the game.
Yeah.
Just sharing that gift with other people
Yeah.
keeps it fresh for me.
That's how it is, dude.
That's
And just creating opportunities for others only creates it for yourself.
Yeah.
That's a great send off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peace.
I'm Alite, Alite. You Google search me. The only other person you're gonna find is John Alite.
Yes, I've actually seen that.
Is that weird?
Yeah.
Spelled
It's like a mafia boss.
You know what? He's not a very talkative
It's
guy.
like a mafia boss or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Something to do with the mafia.
Yeah, he's-
I ain't got nothing to do with no mafia. My skin is too brown. They don't like brown skinned people in the mafia. But I'm Alite, Alite.
A to the DJ.
QUEEZI
And only.
on the High Phrase Podcast. Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Yeah.
That was cool, man. Thanks, guys.
That was good.
Killed it, Joe. Hell yeah.
We got everything in there. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I was trying to stay
That
away
was the
from
goal.
conspiracy talk.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, you know,